How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
To give you some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
What up, everyone? Happy Labor Day. Look at my hair today. My hair today is extra crazy, apparently. You know, that's what happens. That's what happens when you sleep until 1 p.m. And it wasn't my fault I slept until 1 p.m., okay? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. My dear, dear husband had to come up and wake me up today because I was so tired. Because I was so tired after last night's stream, just yelling and ranting and having like a good old airing of grievances until like 3 a.m. Yeah, exactly. You know, if only he had always had this attitude. If only he had always had this attitude. I mean, it's exactly, you know what? We aren't gonna make fun of him for showing up late to the party and realizing that I'm sweet and awesome and he totally loves me and all that stuff. We're not gonna be upset at him for that. We're just gonna celebrate the fact that he finally showed up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so I slept until like 1 p.m. today. And how I was woken up is my husband came up and we didn't have sex or anything, but he started like touching my leg, and I was like, what is in my dream? I felt this in my dream, and I was like, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, and he's like, Karlyn, it's 1 p.m. and I was like, what happened? And then I looked at my phone, and my alarm was actually going off on my phone, but it wasn't making noise for some reason. So it's not my fault. Okay, it's not my fault that I was up late last night streaming on the internet, and that my phone didn't wake me up, and that my hair looks crazy, and all this stuff. Happy Labor Day. I mean, most of you guys have the day off. So, anyway. Yeah, phone L. Phone L. Apparently I don't even know how to work my own phone. Anyway, since it is Labor Day, we are going to be doing a little bit of a fun episode today, and I thought that we would watch this Patrick Bet-David thing that's been going around the internet up here right in the center, and it was served to me right on the homepage of my YouTube channel. And so I was like, that's how I knew I had to do it. And I was a little bit reticent to do the Patrick Bet-David thing, if I'm honest about it, because I don't think Patrick Bet-David actually understands the far left, and I don't think I've seen a couple clips of this, and in the clips that I've seen, Patrick Bet-David does not understand the left at all in any way. And so, you know, we'll watch it and we'll talk about how yet another influencer thinks they understand communism and doesn't understand what they're talking about. And I'm sure someone's going to tell me, Karlyn, Patrick Bet-David, communist country, blah, 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 like whatever. You know what? I don't give a fuck because I study the real radical far left in the United States. I care about what they're doing here. I don't care about the philosophy from 150 years ago. I don't care about the papers that were written back in the day. I don't even care about how communists operate in other countries, which is absolutely different than what they do in America, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. What I care about is I'm in America, and I want to know how the real radical revolutionary far left are operating in America, what the real activists are doing in America right now. And if Patrick Bet-David has some sort of an idea of what communism means because he read a book one time or he had some experiences, that's all fine, well, and good. That doesn't mean that's what real communists are doing in America right now. There is a difference, and we see this happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, where these conservative influencers, they think they fucking know everything when in fact they know nothing because they have never actually spent time listening to the real far left in America. So we're going to watch Patrick Bet-David today. That's going to be our main show. I do have a couple things I want to talk about before that, though. Do you guys mind if I just talk about a couple of things, and we're going to watch a clip from 99 Alex Stein or whatever? Do you guys mind? Can I just talk about a couple things? So first off, I want to say, I really have spent a little bit of time today thinking about this absurd stream that James Lindsay and his friends did about me last night. And just about how unhinged these people have become from reality. And just in case you missed it, I'm going to play a small clip of what happened. Essentially what happened is, and you can go back and watch the stream from last night if you missed it, but essentially what happened is my community does movie night in our supporter Discord every Sunday at 8 p.m. Okay, so we were all gathering around. We were getting ready to watch American Pie in my Discord. There were a bunch of us just hanging out, like whatever. If you want to join the Discord and come join us, head over to the Substack, sign up as a supporter. I send the link out every single week. But like, we watch movies every Sundays and Monday nights in my supporter Discord. And so we were all just hanging out together. And then Master Shake slides into my DMs on Twitter, and he's like, Karlyn, do you know that James Lindsay and Frank McCormick are doing a live stream in like 20 minutes? And I was like, is it Christmas? Is it my birthday? Is it Halloween? Is it the 4th of July? Is it all rolled into every great holiday and event? Is it all rolled into one? Is this a gift that the universe has bestowed on me? And yes, it was a gift that the universe bestowed on me because I just happened to be hanging out with a group of my community members, and then we all found out that those two assholes were going to be on a live stream at exactly the same time with an open chat. I mean, come on. You can't dangle that carrot in front of me. You just can't. Anyway, what ensued was we basically took over the entire chat. We owned the entire chat. They had no one watching them. They had like 20 people watching them the whole time, and the vast majority of them were us just hanging out in my movie night in my Discord and making trouble in their chat. And so I got to show you guys just one clip of this is Psycho Frank McCormick actually bragging this to Frank McCormick, who, just to remind everyone, Frank McCormick is a lapdog that follows James Lindsay around all the time. And we literally, when I say Psycho Frank McCormick, what I mean is he is literally off his psychiatric medication. We know this. How do we know? How do we know that Frank McCormick is off his medication? Because on November 26, 2024, Frank McCormick tweeted, "I know my content has been mid-quality recently but give me some time. I'm almost off SSRI's antidepressant after taking them daily for 22 years." So when I say Frank is off his psychiatric medication, I quite literally mean Frank is off his psychiatric medication. I'm not being colloquial. The man tweeted about this on multiple occasions, okay? And so I think this is so funny, and this clip is just so indicative with the bullshit that we have to put up with from the classical liberals on the internet. The classical liberals are going to fuck everything up. Listen, man, if you're here to talk about communism and listen to Patrick Bet-David talk about communism, we're going to get to that, I promise. But you also need to know that if you actually care about defeating the communist left in America, it is the classical liberals that are going to fuck all this up for us and actually run cover for the real communists, letting them win with their bullshit. So you had in this, I just want to paint the scenario of this. You had, in their minds, this is the intellectual brain trust of the internet, okay? You got James Lindsay, you got Frank McCormick, you got Isaiah Carter, who's someone that left the left a couple years ago and tried to get famous from it, but it didn't really work out. You got this other guy with the beard, I don't even know who the fuck he is. And so this should have been a great intellectual conversation, right? Because these guys think they're the only people who care about defeating the left. Do you want to see Frank McCormick's favorite part of the entire conversation? Some people saw this last night, but just in case you missed it, do you want to see what his favorite part of the entire conversation was? And this conversation lasted for 3 hours. They were on the internet a long ass time. Favorite part of the conversation. Let's play.
Let me bring up this gentleman here. An unfortunate casualty of the woke era. Someone who quite literally lost his job as a teacher. Okay. Been an educator for several years. Oh my God in heaven. You know what? Look at this here. You know what? Can you believe this? Hold on a second.
What happened?
The comment section just got 330 pounds heavier. With Dr. Karlyn Borysenko as the center of her mass is just all the comments. They're orbiting around.
Oh, this is great.
She still exists? I thought she died.
Yeah.
Let me bring up this gentleman here.
That was Psycho Frank McCormick's favorite part of the conversation. Let's just get this on, like get Frank on the screen, since Frank likes to talk about my looks all the time. This again was supposed to be the intellectual brain trust of the classical liberal anti-woke internet. And their favorite part of the conversation is calling me fat. Now, but it even goes farther than that. And listen, I think that this is fucking hilarious because I think this makes them look like retarded, unhinged morons. But Frank seems to think I weigh 330 pounds. This is the truly unhinged part of this entire thing. It's like, Frankie, I hate to break it to you, bro. I don't even have a 2 in front of the number on the scale, bro. I don't even weigh 200 pounds. And you think I weigh 330 fucking pounds? And the reason I bring this up is, again, like this is an unhinged lunatic on the internet. I don't really give a fuck what he thinks about me. But just think about the reality that is going on in Frank's head, where he has convinced himself on some sort of... So he has convinced himself not only that I weigh probably 150 pounds more than what I actually weigh, but he's also convinced himself that making fun of this non-existent fictional weight is the very best image that he can put forth on the internet. And I really just want people to think about the amount of distortion you have to do in your brain to convince yourself that telling lies that are... Frank, people can look at me and know that I don't weigh 330 pounds, bro. It's not even a good joke. It's not even in the realm of possibility. And if you can't even get kind of like basic stuff right like that, how much did the antidepressants fuck up your head, bro? That you honestly, if there's any, there can be no greater evidence of the distorted way in which he sees the world. It's just nuts. Anyway, yeah, and on the other hand, you got Isaiah, who is legitimately fuck off fat. This Chavez guy, who I don't even know, who is also fat. Frank is a psycho beta, and James is also fat with man boobs. And it's just like... So I was just thinking about that earlier today. I was like, what has to go on in someone's head? Does Frank have an eating disorder or something where like Frank looks at people's bodies and he sees them in a completely like disordered way? Does Frank himself have an eating disorder and so he projects that onto other people, so he sees himself as fat and so other people appear far bigger to him than they actually. It's just like, it is just an amazing amount of like mental gymnastics, and I'm just kind of in awe of it. From a psychological perspective, I just had to comment on it. Now, one of the things that James Lindsay said at the end of that video is he said, "Oh, I thought she was dead. Where is she?" Well, you know what I've been doing, James. You know what I've been doing. Do you know why James Lindsay thinks that I'm dead and thinks that I'm just not even on the internet anymore? Because while James has been dicking around on Twitter, I've actually been building an intelligence empire. I have been hard at work lately. You guys don't really know this because I haven't really talked about it. But listen, August was a very slow month with tracking the far left because they were getting ready to go back to school. Campus is now in session. People are moved into dorms. Professors are getting back into their offices, stuff like that. So the left basically took the summer off. They were highly active in June and July. And then in August, they got real quiet. And for a while, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Where the fuck is the left? I mean, it's Labor Day. There are protests going on all over America today. But they've actually been really quiet in the month of August. And then about a week ago, I figured it out because I started going to all these college websites and I started seeing all these woke presentations popping up and stuff like that. And so basically what was happening is you've got students and you've got faculty member and professors and university employees. And remember, there are 4,000 universities all over the country. Leftists are employees at university, they're teachers at university, they're students at universities. I mean, they were getting ready to go back to school. That was what was going on. And so now we're really starting to see organizing calls and leftist meetings pick up. And I've been spending the last couple months kind of keeping my head down. I've been working on a couple big projects. I'm now in a position to provide intelligence to people who are interested in this type of intelligence. So I've been building out some monitoring dashboards. And what we're starting to see is there's about to be a lot of leftist organizing meetings, okay? So James thinks I died and fell off the internet. No, James, what I was doing was building a system which you can access over on decodetheleft.com, where I'm actually providing intelligence to people about what the left is doing, monitoring them in real time. And wouldn't you know it, if I was tweeting 4 times per hour like James Lindsay does every single day, every waking hour of his day, someone did the math on this last week. If I was spending all my fucking time on Twitter like James Lindsay does, I wouldn't have had time to do this. So I can understand why James thinks that I died, because I did kind of fall off the internet because I was building something on the back end that we're about to start springing into action. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, I want to direct everyone over to the decodetheleft.com/events page. We've got some spy streams coming up, ladies and gentlemen, and this is just a couple of the spy streams that we have coming up, but these are the ones that I'm ready to allow you to get on your calendar. Spy stream is when we go inside live leftist meetings and we record them live and we monitor what they're doing live. When you are a supporter on my Substack, my Locals, my Patreon, a Twitter subscriber, or a YouTube channel member, you will be able to get access to spy streams. I have been doing more public spy streams lately, but I'm going to start reining that stuff in. It is going to go back to the majority supporter only now, so if you aren't yet supporting my work at Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, you can do that. Our next spy stream is tomorrow. So tomorrow at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to be going inside a live organizing call for the Democratic Socialists of America. They've got a couple things going on. So we're going to hear from them live what they're thinking about, what their strategy is, what they're planning, what's coming next for them. You can access that by, again, heading over to my Substack. You can also access the full calendar of spy streams that I have announced so far. Again, there is more than this. I just haven't put them all up yet. So we're about to have a ton of leftist organizing, and you are going to be getting that in the only place on the internet that you can get direct access to it, which is coming onto my channel, joining my community. James Lindsay doesn't know about any of this shit. No one covering, none of the conservative influencers know anything about this shit. And so if they don't want to tell it to you, I will. That's fine. Hey, in with a nice super chat, Brown Barbaloo. Thank you so much. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. What a great quote, Barbaloo. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. What else? Oh, I want to watch this before we get into the Patrick Bet-David thing. 99 Alex Stein told off a Jewish woman on Timcast. And I got to tell you, I didn't think he had it in him. I did not think that Alex Stein had it in him. I have to say, and I've always adored Alex Stein, honestly. I get what Alex Stein is doing. I'm a big fan of Andy Kaufman. I am a massive Andy Kaufman nerd. Alex Stein is doing a modern day Andy Kaufman. If you don't know who Andy Kaufman is, bro, you missed out. Andy Kaufman is one of the greatest comedians of all time. Andy Kaufman was using professional wrestling as a comedy stunt. He faked a whole feud with Jerry Lawler back in the day. It was so great. He had a movie made about him where Jim Carrey played him called Man on the Moon. That was actually a pretty good movie, and Jim Carrey did a pretty good job portraying Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was the king. And Alex Stein is doing a modern day Andy Kaufman. And so I've always appreciated Alex Stein. I think Alex Stein is hilarious. I didn't think that Alex Stein had it in him to tell off a Jewish Israeli shill on Timcast. And so we're going to watch that, and we're going to talk about it. But first, does anyone recognize her before we get into the actual clip of Alex Stein telling her off? Hang on. Does anyone recognize this stupid blonde woman? Does anyone on my channel recognize this stupid blonde woman, Karis Ray? Does anyone recognize her? Anyone? Who's got the best memory on the channel? Who's got the best memory on the channel? Anyone? Anyone recognize her? Well, we've had a run-in with her before. September last year, almost 1 year ago. We met Karis Ray almost 1 year ago when we watched the interview that James Lindsay did with Rabbi Barclay. And we cut James out of context talking about the first chapter of Mein Kampf. And James got so pissed off at this. He was so pissed that we got him talking about the first chapter of Mein Kampf, looking like, and James literally said Hitler was going after the communists who he figured out were all Jewish. And I was like, yes, James, that's exactly correct. Yes. Well, Karis Ray was also on that show. And so I also posted a clip of her from the show. And then she responded to me. And she said, hey, Karlyn, since you claim to understand my views so well and yet extract my actual words to misinterpret them at every turn and even contradict yourself in the process, I'm happy to settle this via a one-on-one public conversation. Oh, isn't that interesting? This Jewish bitch challenged me to a one-on-one public conversation. Let's see what happened then. I responded and said, this Jewish woman thinks I'm afraid of debating her. She has an open invite to come on my channel and talk anytime she wants. Your move, unlike you, I don't mind tagging when I'm talking about someone, so I immediately accepted. I said, yup. Come on the channel and talk, Jewish woman. Come on the channel and talk. And then she did a long old diatribe about me. Like, who can even fucking read all that? And I responded to her, and I said again, I guarantee you that you will be treated cordially on my channel as we treat everyone cordially on my channel, even communists. Let me know, I'll schedule you in. So again, like, she wanted to get in my ear and be like, and I was like, okay, well, you're an evil cunt, but you can still come on my channel and we're going to be real nice to you and all that stuff. So you're welcome to come on anytime. And then she did another fucking round of it where she was like, and again, who the fuck even wants to read all that? And so I responded again. And then eventually she blocked me. She blocked me. There was a couple back and forth. I even made a specific video of her. I even made, actually, oh, that's a whole 34-minute clip. I made a specific, a video where she claimed I clipped her out of context. So I was like, all right, here's the whole context. And then after I said, all right, Jewish woman, here is the whole context for your video. Let's talk about it. She blocked me. Jewish woman fail. Jewish woman fail. And so I have to say, when I saw the Jewish woman show up in this video getting absolutely fucking destroyed by Alex Stein, I was like, there is no better way to start off my week than this. So let's watch this video, guys, and then we will watch the Patrick Bet-David stuff without any further interruption, I promise. But thank you for allowing me to get a couple points of personal privilege in, and I hope everyone enjoys this clip. And we're just gonna, you know what? We're just going to sit back and just bask in the genius that is 99, Alex Stein.
Joe Blow!
Take it down!
No, I just get so mad because you guys are just so, it's just so thick. It's like
just because we don't agree with you, chill out.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't work for Mossad.
Oh, come on.
You think anybody who works for Mossad is going to wear a shirt that says I work for Mossad?
Do you know who Ghislaine
You really
Maxwell
think the
is?
Mossad is that thick?
Because you're so smart. Do you know who Ghislaine Maxwell is? Do you know who Ghislaine Maxwell's father is?
What?
Robert Maxwell. You know when Robert Maxwell died, you know what kind of funeral they gave him? They gave him the
Tell me
same
more from the
sort of funeral
Groypers. Tell
that
me
you
more
would
from
give it-
Candace Owens. Please, please, please.
It's not
Tell
from
me
Candace
more.
Owens.
Tell me more.
See, this is why this abroad is so stupid, because this is just open. This is just open information. No, it's not. It's not from Candace. No, it's not from Candace, because when Robert Maxwell died, he was never in the Israeli military, but he got
go back to when you were talking about the map?
Shut up. Let me finish talking. Of course, she's going to use her Jewish magic to try to cancel me. Listen, no. Let me finish what I'm saying. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, Robert Maxwell, when he died, and he fell off a boat in a very weird way. So when he died, he got an official Israeli IDF heroes funeral. The funeral that only a certain person that even lost their life in the line of battle.
Esmeralda Farmer Galbraith, was she involved at all with the government?
No, listen.
Can I just say? Hang on.
No, the funeral that only a certain person that even lost their life in the line of battle.
Esmeralda.
Why the fuck is this woman relevant? Can I seriously just ask this question? Why in the ever-loving fuck is Libby Emmons relevant? She has nothing original to say. She's one of the most annoying people on the internet. She looks like a fucking mouse. Like, why is she on Timcast all the time inserting her opinion when literally no one wants to hear it, okay? I have hated this bitch for like 5 years. She has been an annoying gatekeeper the entire time. She's not even that smart. Why? Why do these people always choose the worst possible people to listen to? I don't get it. Did you see that we had... Yes, I was in the space. You had Ian on. And Ian wasn't getting it at all. Ian Crossland was on one of the CQ spaces. I think he randomly wandered in. You guys were trying to convince him. He wasn't getting it at all, but I did listen to a lot of that.
Farmer Galbraith, was she involved at all with the government?
No, listen, do not try to derail me from this. I'm trying to talk about serious stuff.
Because nobody cares.
No, because I have idiots like you that say, oh, there's no connection to Jeffrey Epstein and Mossad.
Look at how emotional you are, Alex.
Shut your mouth for 2 seconds. You just shut up. This is the thing. Yeah, because I get mad because she's lying. Let me tell you something. Jeffrey Epstein.
You lie all the time, and I don't get mad.
Maxwell, listen, Jeff, this is not a lie. Jeffrey Epstein.
I have the courage of my conviction.
Let me finish my point.
So I can be calm.
Ghislaine Maxwell, her father worked for Israel. She is now currently in prison for sex trafficking children. Her connection to her father is directly connected.
Can I ask a question about... I'm sorry, I swear I'm going to let this play. But, can I ask a question about Phil Labonte? Phil Labonte, after members of my community tried to show Phil Labonte clips from real far-left trainings, Phil Labonte ended up blocking us all on Twitter. And then Phil Labonte, I swear to God, this is a true story. He told... I have this woman in my community who's she's an older woman, but she's like a naval veteran, and she's a badass. She worked in naval intelligence and all that stuff. And she's very proud of being a naval veteran. Phil Labonte actually got into an argument with a senior citizen Navy veteran in my community and told her to fuck off. And I was like, are you stupid? But the reason I bring this up is, where is Phil Labonte in terms of defending James Lindsay? Because the reason that Phil Labonte blocked me and half the members of my community for showing him clips that contradicted James Lindsay's analysis of the far left is because he was so far up James Lindsay's ass that he couldn't actually look at real world evidence and understand that James was lying to him. Is Phil Labonte still standing behind James Lindsay? Does anyone know? Because it kind of seems as though Phil may have gotten very quiet on the James Lindsay front, and I can't imagine why that is. Oh, he's not popular anymore? Oh, wow.
To Mossad. Now, people like you are going to lie and say that there's no connection.
You know what that means?
But when you look at Jeffrey Epstein, and you can look this up, when they did a search of his house, they found that he didn't just have an American passport, he also had an Israeli passport. So if you really do not think that he was not connected with our intelligence agencies and the intelligence agencies of the woman that he was working with to sexually traffic kids whose father has so much evidence that he was part of Israelis Mossad agency, you're the liar. You're the one that's not connecting the dots when it's so obvious. So I get frustrated when you just sit there and lie and say there's no connection to Mossad.
That you're so sure. I said he didn't work for Mossad.
Do you know how this woman is lying? Do you know how we know this woman is lying? It's not just that she has a really bad fake blonde dye job. It's not just that we can see how bad her nose is. It's that she's got a giant fuck off Israeli flag on the front of her laptop. That's how we know she's lying.
You don't know that. You have no idea.
You don't know that he does.
Well, there's a lot of dots that are connected, and I know that there's classified levels of information.
Yes, but there's also but he's also been connected to other intelligence agencies, not just Mossad. And also, he was he was part of the political class. He was the elites, and there's a whole political whole political class in Israel, just like a deep state, just like in America. And those people were all hobnobbing around. And the only person that he had a connection to in Israel was Ehud Barak.
That's his only connection. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad is Robert Maxwell. How stupid are you? Do you not realize who Robert Maxwell is?
Epstein.
And do you not know Jeffrey Epstein's connected to Ghislaine Maxwell? Are you too stupid to put that together?
Okay.
No, I just don't know how stupid you are, because you don't think that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein work together?
This is what I think. I think you should.
Oh yeah, they left the commercial about the funeral.
Have Park McDougald on from Tablet Magazine, and I think you
sounds
should
like a
litigate
retard. I don't need Tablet Magazine to realize that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein work together. You don't want to admit that because it connects all the dots and it makes Israel look bad. And then you look at people like Tom Alexandrovich, a pedophile.
No. How can I help?
No, you can't mediate because I'm sick of liars. I'm just sick of liars. Like, you're the type of person with Tom Alexandrovich.
Who the fuck is this woman? Who the fuck is this woman trying to step in and be like, she's trying to be like the HR woman of Timcast, be like, come on, guys. Does anyone need a snack? Does anyone? I'm gonna mediate this conversation. Who the fuck is this?
No, real quick, Jamie.
Hey, guys, let's.
I just get pissed.
Just bring it down. Just bring it down. Bring it down.
That Jeffrey Epstein didn't work for Mossad. I'm lying.
Yeah, because you're not connecting the dots. You're trying to. It's like Tom Alexandrovich. Why did Benjamin Netanyahu lie? Tom Alexandrovich.
The fact that you're so sure about this and it makes you so angry.
Yeah, because I don't want powerful people molesting kids on airplanes.
There's so much more about your character than anything related.
I'm not a shill. I'm willing to call balls and strikes.
Bring the temperature down here a little bit.
No, I want to raise the temperature up because we're not pussies.
No, because it's 9:30 and it's a Friday, man. I do give a damn.
I'm passionate about this, and I don't want these people out here protecting Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's a big deal.
She's not protecting Jeffrey Epstein.
He didn't have any connection with Mossad. If he didn't have a connection with an intelligence agency,
he didn't work for Mossad.
Obviously, okay. Do you think Phil?
I think he probably had a lot of connections with that. But in terms of who he was close to, the only person he was close to was
or the CIA.
If I understand correctly, he did not have a connection to Mossad or CIA. He had connection to powerful, wealthy.
Are you fucking kidding me? Phil Abate thinks that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't connected to Mossad? This is why you do not trust the opinion of musicians. Listen. I hung around musicians for years. I almost married a musician. I am very familiar with the intellectual temperament of musicians. This is why we don't have them on shows where they are expected to provide intelligent commentary, because although they may be very creative and brilliant people musically, that doesn't mean they know what the fuck is going on, and it doesn't mean in this case that Phil Ablante isn't a giant ass pussy, because he's obviously afraid to confront what the actual problem is, and obviously he's running cover for Israel because that's what Tim Pool wants him to do.
People. Now, whether or not that was
former Prime Minister of Israel.
Don't we have super chats?
Including the former Prime Minister
of Israel. His best friend was at his house all the time.
I swear.
Who's hanging out with the Prime Minister? Who's hanging out with the Prime Minister of the country? So you're not just Joe Blow.
Take it down.
No, I just get so mad because you guys are it's just so thick. It's like
just because we don't agree with you, chill out.
You don't have to agree with me. It's that she's saying that he's hanging out with the Prime Minister, and you're looking at me like I'm crazy because I think that he might work for the government if he's hanging out with the Prime Minister. You're the one gaslighting me. I'm not the crazy.
I'm not gaslighting anyone.
You can't see the forest for the big tree in front of your face.
No, again, this is not gaslighting. This is straight up saying, okay, we don't see things the same way you do. Generally, disagreement around this table is something that we take in stride. This is a very normal thing for people to disagree.
Guys, we have civilized disagreement on this show, like the good classical liberals that we are, because we just want to be civilized about our disagreement, because then we never get angry or passionate about anything, and no problems ever get solved. But we have we have a stern conversation with each other, and we have civil disagreement, and then nothing ever happens after that because all we're doing is kissing kissing each other's asses and sucking each other's dicks and all that stuff, and none of it really matters because they don't really care about anything.
Okay, we do not need to go ahead and start screaming at each other like this.
It gets certain people emotional.
I just get emotional because you can't defend it. Like, can you defend how Benjamin Netanyahu just lied and said when Tom Alexandrovich just got arrested for doing a pedophile sting in Las Vegas that he wasn't actually arrested? Do you think that's cool that he lied about that, protecting another pedophile?
I think the fact that you tie pedophiles to Israel and not a country. Like,
I didn't do that. The pedophile that works for the cybersecurity division, he's the one that did it. I'm not the one that diddled the kid. He diddled the kid. He happens to work directly for Benjamin Netanyahu. And do you think that's cool that Benjamin Netanyahu lied and said he wasn't arrested?
If Netanyahu lied about some pedophile, then I think that he should be accountable for that lie. But without looking into some sort of accusation that you're leveling at Bibi Netanyahu, who I'm not even a fan of. Like, I can't stand Bibi Netanyahu.
Why are you not a fan of him?
And yet, well, not for the reasons you aren't.
What do you don't even know the reasons I don't like him. I don't like him because he bombs hospitals with rescue workers who are trying to give aid.
Yeah, you
don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, when it comes to Netanyahu, like, I know the way that, like, the media frames Netanyahu because I've been privy to the way that they framed Trump. And Netanyahu is the same type of figure internationally like Trump was. And so I find myself having to defend this guy that I don't even like because I know that certain things that people are saying about him is not true. But when it comes to the recent thing that just happened with the pedophile, I haven't actually cared enough to look into that, Alex. Well, so I don't have an answer for you. And if you're telling me...
I'm just going to come on Tim Pool's show and scream about Israel doesn't support pedophiles, Israel doesn't cover for pedophiles, Israel doesn't cover for pedophiles, and then when it actually comes down to it, no, Alex, I haven't really even looked into that situation with the Israeli intelligence officer totally getting flown out of the country after being arrested for pedophilia. I haven't looked into it, but I assure you, Israel doesn't protect pedophiles, but I haven't even bothered to look into the incident that you're talking about. But I'm sure, because I have a giant fuck off Israeli flag on my laptop, I'm sure that Israel didn't do anything wrong and never protects pedophiles ever.
You don't care about
and if you're telling me that he lied about that,
kids.
No, because I'm busy and I just happen to not have checked the news that day. But if it happens that you're right about that, then
look it up.
But because you get so emotional about that topic, I wouldn't trust you. With other stuff, I would. But because this seems to be the thing.
If you get emotional about Israel protecting pedophiles, then I just don't trust you, okay? I totally trust the country that is protecting the pedophiles over someone who gets emotional about the country protecting the pedophiles. That's very Jewish logic, isn't it?
Trust, you're defending Jeffrey Epstein, saying that he doesn't have any connection.
I don't think anybody thinks that I'm defending Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, the idea that there is no room for disagreement, like that is something that we don't do.
No, we can disagree. We can disagree 100%. I'm just saying I'm allowed to get a little emotional about it because I feel like I'm getting gaslit.
It's fair if you...
We have registered your emotion.
If
I hear you. I'm so sorry.
What did I tell you? This is the HR woman of Timcast. And why the fuck is Phil Labonte being an HR person too? He's supposed to be a rock star. Phil Labonte, the rock star, is like, now everyone, you're allowed to have your feelings, but we don't have those feelings on the show. And then they're doing HR man and woman. Watch this. Hang on. Let's go back a little bit. Phil Labonte, HR person of Timcast.
It's fair if you...
We have registered your emotion. I hear you.
We have registered your emotions, 99 Alex Stein, and we hear you. And we hear you, and you're allowed to have those feelings, but can you not have those feelings on this show where we don't talk about the Jews, please? Thank you, Alex, very much for reining in your feelings.
I'm so sorry you're feeling so emotional about this.
Hey, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
I know.
What do you want to say, Jamie? What do you think Israel fits in all this?
Oh, I don't. That's not my cup of tea.
So you can't have an opinion on it?
I just wonder, why you're not so emotional about Sudan or Yemen or something.
Why the fuck do I give a shit about Sudan and Yemen? I mean, I don't see them bombing hospitals on.
No, what are you talking about? There's literally there's 87,000 children that are being starved right now.
I guess the Palestine, they just are doing such a good marketing campaign that I just can't even pay attention to Sudan because my Telegram feed.
That's the truest thing that you've said this entire time about Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is because there's just not consistency there.
Well, when you look at our politicians, and 88% of the politicians that are currently in office are all being funded by AIPAC, I think that you could see that it's a little bigger of a threat, AIPAC, than...
It's funny that you talk about AIPAC, but you don't talk about the ones being funded by the Qatar Foundation, and you don't talk about the ones being funded, and you don't talk about the ones being funded by NIAC.
Retarded if you would think that the Qatar has more influence than Israel. I think that you'd be slow in the brain.
I don't think you... I think that actually...
So how many
actually, if you look at the all you have to do is research it, and all you have to do is go one block.
They funded some colleges, so now that they own.
No, you can't go a block in DC. That's not tainted with Qatari money. You know, Qatari bought the congressional baseball game.
You can't go a block in DC that's not tainted with Qatari money. This Jewish bitch thinks you're all stupid.
Game.
Okay, they donated to a baseball game, but
they didn't donate. They literally have been playing the long game. Qatar is the richest country in the world.
Who has more influence on American politics, Israel or Qatar?
At this point in time, 100% Qatar.
Oh
you
my
are
before Obama,
so
Israel.
Stupid. You are literally stupid.
You just don't. It's so sad because you're giving
Libby,
in.
You think Qatar has more
You just have
influence
no
on American
idea.
politics
You just have
than
no
Israel?
idea.
Libby, don't.
Guys, has anyone ever been banned off an internet platform for criticizing Qatar? Has anyone ever been censored for saying we shouldn't send money to Qatar? Has anyone ever been called anti-Semitic or even anti-Islamic, for that matter, for saying that maybe we shouldn't be supporting Qatar? Has that ever happened in the history of ever? But the HR woman of Timcast is going to sort out the situation. Don't worry.
Jump in for a minute. Let me say something.
You don't even. You probably have never even heard of the Qatar Foundation.
I don't think you're making a very good argument. You
just don't know, Alex.
She's turning around
because people are so obsessed with AIPAC that's all you
listen. I understand I'm a woman. I get this, but this clip is why women should not be allowed to speak on the internet. Because I know I am the exception of women. I understand that and you listen, I have my woman moments too. But like I understand that like most women suck and they should not be allowed to open their mouths on the internet, and there should be better gatekeeping. I get that. Maybe there can be a gatekeeping system set up where sometimes women are allowed to talk on the internet when they don't do this stupid shit. Like someone can say, okay, you say stupid shit like 10 to 15% of the time, but most of the time you're pretty good. Whereas Libby Emmons says stupid shit 90% of the time. And therefore, if you're saying stupid shit 90% of the time and you're acting like an unhinged woman like 80 to 90% of the time, you should be gatekept off the internet because maybe, you know what? Maybe it's just that these dumb bitches are giving all the rest of us a bad name. I don't know, but generally speaking, like women shouldn't be allowed to speak. But I think I'm still gonna speak though because I don't know. I'm allowed to. If these women see, here's the thing. Like I actually would get on board with a plan where we can silence these women off the internet. But as long as these women on the internet are allowed to speak, then I have to counterbalance it to show people that not every woman is a stupid cunt.
Here, do you even know about NORPAC?
Listen. When you look at the influence that AIPAC has,
let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Try to distract me from that influence. Let's talk
about AIPAC. They don't even meet the top 50
in Israel. So
in terms of spending, yes, they spend more money than AIPAC. Yes.
Who's more powerful, Israel or Qatar?
In politics?
Yes.
Right now, Qatar.
Oh my! You think Qatar is more powerful?
Yes, and anybody who really studies this would know that. The only reason that you don't is because you haven't looked into it because everybody talks about AIPAC.
Let's go to super chats.
You're going to have to agree to disagree.
Super chats. People send messages.
I'm happy to
hear from the viewers.
Well, that's fair, but normally at 9:40 on like the last 20 minutes we do super chats.
Well, I have to say, 99 Alex Stein, we salute you, bro. We salute you. Listen, man. Again, I didn't think Alex Stein had it in him. I really didn't. And I hope that we will be seeing much more of this type of behavior from Alex Stein. I really want to encourage this behavior, and I think everyone should tweet at him and tell him he did a great job, because if everyone gives him positive feedback, he's more likely to do this stuff in the future, whereas if everyone shits on him for it, then he's less likely to do it. So let's give Alex like a big round of applause. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your service. Alex W., we appreciate you. Everyone go be very nice to him. All right, let's get into Patrick Bet David. I know, the main event that everyone's here for on this glorious Labor Day. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button for me if you would be so kind. Please make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you are watching on, whether that be YouTube, Rumble, Kick, or Twitter. And yeah, I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We do Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Today, we are enjoying this episode of Patrick Bet David arguing with communists, and we're going to see what happened.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet David. This is the United States of America.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialists?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No. No.
When you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that they would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your
claims
company.
Of defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the fact. I'm Patrick Bet David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of PBD Podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists. My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm valuetained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you
so,
really?
Yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of...
Okay, let's do a pop quiz for the chat. Let's see if we know what the socialists are going to say before they actually say it. So this person is arguing against the idea that incentives are how things get done under capitalism. What do you think the socialist is going to say in response to that? Does anyone have any ideas? For people who might be new, we watch the far left all the time on this channel. We listen to real communists and socialists all the time, and so we've got a pretty good handle on what their ideas are. And so it'll be an interesting little challenge to see if we can predict what these people are actually going to say. Does anyone want to take a guess? Let's get the claim up on the screen, just so people can see. Incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails. What is the socialist going to say? Yep, so he might say something about being a member of the community, contributing to the community is an incentive. He might say they are forced to use capitalism. Yep, might say that. He's going to talk about the stolen labor value. Yup, so he's going to say that the entrepreneurs, the bourgeois, are stealing the labor of the proletariat. So it's not about incentives. They're actually stealing the labor. They're going to talk about how capitalism is a source of hardship for people. It's a source of oppression. He might say there's more incentive to contribute in a non-capitalist society. We don't have a choice. Capitalism forced us to participate to survive. All good guesses. Let's see what happened.
Incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Yeah, fuck you, Amala.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm valuetained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you really?
Yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity, and people's ability to get what is necessary pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers...
Wait. Hang on. Breaking news. James Lindsay just posted your meme? James Lindsay posted your meme. I'm sorry. We need to interrupt this to go to James Lindsay's Twitter feed. Mizakan works so hard on his James Lindsay memes. He does so many of these. Hang on. We are live on James Lindsay's Twitter feed. It's probably... Yes, James does this all the time exactly when I'm streaming just to create bait so that we talk about him, but I can't... Oh my god. There it is. There... This is a meme illustrating James's mind. It's got all the different aspects of all the different things that James has ranted and raved about. Oh. I'm going to put a link in the chat if anyone wants to take a close look at this meme, because it's actually, if you're not blocked by James, tell him thank you for posting the meme. I think most people are already blocked by him, but if you're not blocked by James and you want to leave him a nice little message, there you go. Okay. Thank you for that, Mizakan. Congratulations on your epic victory. Let's go back to this. Mizakan, are you not blocked by James? Or did he unblock you just to post your meme? Because I thought you were blocked by James.
Are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not equivocal.
So how would you do it? How would you change it?
Yeah, so I think that humans inherently want to be meaningful. They want to contribute to their communities. They want to contribute to society. When you look at depression rates, oftentimes it's people who aren't able to do anything besides laying in their bed and basically barely taking care of themselves. So I think that it's just a human intrinsic value to want to bring value to their community or grander society. Okay, so I don't think that it has to.
What did we say? What did we say the socialist was going to say? The incentive comes in contributing to the community. I think Reagan was the first person to say that. Reagan correctly predicted what the socialist was going to say.
Through scarcity alone, that scares people into working, if that makes sense.
I worked for scarcity. I think there's levels to it. You have the survival folks who work for survival to pay their bills. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy. The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a bigger business that solve a lot of problems.
The incentive there is either I die or I work. That's not really a system that rewards merit. That's a system that pushes people into insecurity.
Who said that the socialist was going to say that you have to work to survive under capitalism? I think that was Master Shake.
Positions.
Not necessarily. In many cases, we put ourselves in situations as well. But when we're talking incentive...
Are you saying that it's an individual failure for these single mothers that are working 3 to 4 jobs?
For some of them, it is.
Interesting.
For some of them, it is.
I'm glad you bite that bullet, because most people are not going to say that it's a moral failure of people that are born into poverty that continue to live out cyclical poverty. Let me explain to you.
For somebody like me, I came from the single mother system. My mother was a single mother. We had, my parents got a divorce twice. They married each other. They divorced. They remarried each other, divorced again. I came up, we didn't have a lot of choices. I joined the Army, I got at that system, kind of wanted to see what I was gonna do for myself. Do I stay in the Army? Do I get out of the Army? I started working in sales. And then the incentive of working harder, eventually I built a good life for myself.
Again, you're totally dismissing the hard work that a lot of these people are putting into for just basic survival. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after day.
I don't
but yet
disagree.
They still feel insecure positions to where they don't even know if they're gonna be able to afford rent in the next 6 months.
So let me ask you,
if most Americans have a $400 to $500 emergency, they can't even afford that with the basic savings that they have. So this is not something that we should celebrate as promises of a system that gives you more if you work harder. We should say that this is something that rewards few, and I'm glad that you're an outlier that's been able to build a lot of success for yourself. I know that you're a multimillionaire. That's fantastic that you have those resources. But the thing is that cannot happen for everybody in society. It's possible for each individual to do it, but not everybody can be a millionaire. That's guaranteed.
I don't think not everybody can be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I do think people can find ways to use their time to effectively increase their market value. And I don't think many people do that. When I talk to people and they tell me, I've watched this show, I've watched every one of these shows, I've watched every one of these Netflix shows, you can use that time to increase your market value instead of kind of, focus on what's going on with the stories and shows that are out there.
Let's move away from Netflix and TV shows and talk specifically about, do you think that capitalism is a system of merit that rewards people that are outside of merit?
I do.
Okay, so how would you say that this is a meritocracy when we have some people that are born into excessive wealth and some people that are working minimum wage jobs to provide for 3 or 4 kids? How would you say that that's a meritocratic society?
Those are 2 different things.
They are 2 different things, very unequal things.
Well, no, not necessarily. The parents get credit for making responsible decisions so they can take care of their kids. The parents
get
credit.
It's not a meritocracy, though. We're building dynasties of wealth.
I didn't come from dynasties of wealth.
I know,
came from
you're an outlier. I get that. I get that individual. But we're talking about systems. Capitalism is a system. It's not an individual testimony.
But it's a system that you get to use in your advantage. It's a system that's produced the best results than any other economical system. There's not an economical system that's produced better results than this based on the incentive.
History is a march of
I just want to remind everyone that for communists, capitalism is not just an economic system. Capitalism is also a cultural model. So Patrick Bet-David doesn't understand this because Patrick Bet-David doesn't actually understand communists. He's talking to a room full of people that not only see capitalism as I go into the store and I buy stuff, or I get a job and I get a paycheck. They see capitalism as the underpinnings of the United States government, the United States Constitution. They see capitalism as the reason they hate the police. They see capitalism as the reason they hate the borders, because borders denote private property. The left's very specific definition of capitalism is private property ownership. Private property ownership, things like your home, your land, your apartment rental, stuff like that. That is what allows you to build personal private wealth that gives you more resources than other people. When people have more wealth than other people, that creates a hierarchy. The hierarchy creates oppression. The left's answer to that is to abolish all private property ownership, which puts everyone on equal ground and gives everyone access to everything. They believe everything in the United States, from the gender binary to the nuclear family, to the government, to borders, to the police, everything is designed to protect the system of capitalism and the personal private wealth of individuals. So you have to understand that to understand this conversation. Patrick Bet-David is going to treat this purely as an economic discussion. But this leftist already just said, he said capitalism is a system. It's not just an economic system. It is a cultural system. It is the system that upholds the American dream. So they're saying two different things. They're going like this.
Progress, right? So there are going to be advancements that we make, or there's going to be solutions that we make to previous ailments. I'm not saying that capitalism hasn't brought in better things than systems like feudalism or monarchy, but that does not mean that we're at the end of history. Do you think that capitalism is the final solution, and this is what we're going to last
I think capitalism is the best economical system because it gives an incentive for you to decide how big of a life you want to build. And by the way, the best way to judge it, let me just say this to you, the best way to judge it is in a very simple way. Take all the countries around the world. There's many different economical systems. What has the longest line of people wanting to get in there? It's America. Why is that? 15 million people came here illegally. Millions came here illegally just the last 4 years.
A lot of that is because of economic scarcity in other countries. Well, one of them, we could talk about one, is American exceptionalism, which is continuing. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Again, you are not using the same definition of capitalism as they are, which tells me you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There are perfectly fine criticisms to make of capitalism, but you do not understand explicitly the definition that the left is talking about, which is fundamentally different than the definition you have, I promise you. And I know that because I've talked to a lot of people of your political persuasion. I know exactly where you're coming from. You have a different definition. If your definition is not the same, you are not talking about the same fucking thing. It's like you're talking about apples, they're talking about oranges. And then you're pretending that they're talking about apples like you are. They're not. They're talking about a completely different fucking thing.
How are you? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Alana. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so I think the issue is the framing of incentive here. Incentive doesn't disappear in a socialist or a communist society. It just changes and evolves.
True.
So we see in capitalism, the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good.
No, the incentive would evolve into, if you don't work, you don't eat. In a communist or socialist utopia, communists or socialists control the production of the food. They also control the distribution of the food. We have communists and socialists on video literally talking about getting rid of the private kitchen in homes because you're not going to need your private kitchen anymore. In order to get your food, you're going to go down to the community canteen with your ration cards, and you're going to pick up your food from the community canteen. And while you're there, you might as well eat with the community. So they're literally talking about, they have these things called revolutionary architects. This is a real thing where they're talking about getting rid of private private family kitchens so that everyone has to go into the canteen to eat with the community because they control all the food. So the incentive under communism is if you don't work, you don't eat. Are you just talking to hear yourself talk? Are you literally just talking to hear yourself talk? Did you literally hear anything I said to you? Your definition of capitalism is not the same as the communists. Let me know if I need to say it slower and or louder. Your definition is not the same.
Incentive to do your chores around your house because you don't want to live in a filthy house, right? That makes sense. It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying.
People will be incentivized to do.
Give me a case study. Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at charity work.
Well, why don't we...
The reason that the communists are not going to give Patrick Bet-David a case study of why it hasn't worked, and he should know this, but he doesn't, is that they truly believe that real communism has never been tried. Why do real communists believe that real communism has never been tried? Because communism for them needs to happen on a global scale for it to work. So here's what happens. Most communists and socialists in the country right now are Marxist-Leninists. What that means is they are not Stalinists. Stalinists and Marxist-Leninists do not get along. There are Stalinists in the United States, but they're a very, very small part of the overall communist activist base. The reason this is that Marxist-Leninists think that Stalin ruined everything. They think that Stalin completely screwed everything up. Why do they think that Stalin completely screwed everything up? Because Stalin didn't try to do communism on a global scale. Communists and socialists believe that if you have a communist country that is surrounded by capitalist countries, that communist country will inevitably fail. They also believe that in order to successfully implement communism, you have to go through a period of like industrialization and capitalism in the society. So the society has to go through the full evolution. In the countries where they've tried to do communism before, the society hasn't gone through the full evolution yet. So it basically got to communism too soon, and that's why it's failed. So there is no reality, and if Patrick Bet-David understood communists, he would know this. There is no reality in which any communist in this room is going to give him a case study, not because they can't acknowledge that it hasn't worked before. They do acknowledge that it hasn't worked before. They have entire books written about why it hasn't worked before. They do talks about why it hasn't worked before. You're still talking to yourself, bro. You just got put in a timeout. I don't allow people in my chat just talking to themselves. Like you're acting like a crazy person on this guy that I just put in a timeout. Is acting like a crazy person on a street corner that's just like he's like talking to himself and like quoting the Bible or something, and like people are talking directly to him, but he can't actually talk to them. It's crazy. Like, why do people come into people's chats and just act like a crazy person shouting on a street corner? I don't get it. Anyway, real communists and socialists believe that real communism has never been tried because it's never been tried on a global scale. And if Patrick Bet-David knew that, then he wouldn't even bother asking this question because it's not going to get anywhere.
Why don't we actually look at a case study? You got two countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Our communists and socialists in America do not stand North Korea. They do not like North Korea. They do not like China. They do not like Mao. They do not like any of those things.
Are we judging countries' values based off GDP and not what they value for
freedom of speech? You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now.
She doesn't care about North Korea, you
In
idiot.
South Korea, I'm going to give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire
70
country.
times better
you think
than
that's
North
something
Korea.
to live by? If you are employed by the top 5 countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free in a country like South Korea where I'm only employed in 5 companies or no
somebody
job.
that like me? Do you like to be free where you can have a strong opinion? Do you like to be free to have your dreams?
I like to be free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you are.
That is why I'm anti-capitalist, because capitalism removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend
Name
the
me a
money,
communist country.
would you give up your citizenship to go to that country?
See, she's responding with the absolute answer that I would expect any communist to say. Name me a communist country. They don't believe communism is actually implemented in the real world right now. Now, Patrick Bet-David's going to go, I will fly you to live to Venezuela, or I will fly you to go live in Cuba. They do not believe that these are real examples of communism because they are communist countries that exist within a capitalist framework. So they don't believe real communism is implemented there. Ergo, they're not going to leave. Also, socialists and communists in the United States believe that in order to achieve the global communism that they really want to achieve, the United States has to fall. So every time a conservative retard says, why don't you just go live in a communist country? They're going to go, no, fuck off. We want to do communism here because we can't get communism everywhere until we get communism here. That's why they want to overthrow the government here.
Whichever communist country you want to go to.
Yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to. Choose any one of them, I'll give you one-way ticket. And
what did she just say? What did she just say? And Patrick Bet-David, she just said, those aren't communist countries. What did I say? They don't think that those are really communist countries. So again, they're going like this. And Patrick Bet-David doesn't even realize that they're not talking about the same fucking thing because he's not as smart as he thinks he is. Listen to what she said.
That country. Whichever communist country you want to go to. Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to. Choose any one of them, I'll give you a one-way ticket and I'll fund it for you if you want to. Thank you, yes.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name's Hunter. I'm going to be honest, I've never seen your videos before. Even though there is some real value to free enterprise, the profit motive often creates a perverse incentive and worse outcomes in certain situations. For example, healthcare. How much would you pay for a life-saving treatment for yourself or one of your family members?
How much would I pay for it?
Say you have cancer and you have an 80% survival rate with chemotherapy and less than a 10% without it. How much would you pay? Whatever it takes, right?
Sure.
That's a situation of inelastic demand, when the amount that you're willing to pay is not based on the value of the service because your life does not have a finite value. In the US, 66.5% of all bankruptcies are because of medical debt. In most other developed nations, that number is way lower, if not zero. And at the same time, the US does not have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. We pay over $13,000 per capita. Meanwhile, Taiwan, which by most metrics has the best healthcare system and a national healthcare service, only pays about $2,500 per capita per year.
So what does that tell you?
That tells us
that's wasted expenditure.
Yes, that is a massively wasted expenditure.
That tells you the government doesn't know how to spend our money.
No,
they keep raising taxes, we keep more money, and they don't know how to spend the money.
No, most of that money is coming from private insurance. In fact, 77% of the people who went bankrupt from medical debt had insurance and then lost it because they couldn't pay.
So we can address that, the fact that 60-something% of bankruptcies are due to health, which is your right. We've done many content on that piece. I want you to come back to incentive. Address the issue with incentive right now, with capitalism.
The reason why the medical debt is so high in that is because of the profit motive. If people will pay whatever it takes to not die, the profit motive in that case is perverse because healthcare shouldn't be a market in the same way that other things might be a market.
So you don't think the motive to have profit, to come out with a solution, is a good thing for the marketplace, specifically in the healthcare side?
I think it depends on which market you're talking about. It's way different when we're talking about video games or cell phones or TVs or other goods that aren't...
Does Patrick Bet-David not understand that one of the main criticisms that communism has is that the profit motive oppresses everyone? Wow, this guy doesn't know basic 101 level stuff about communism. Imagine my shock.
As necessary as
You're
healthcare
specific
treatments.
to healthcare.
Yes, I'm talking specifically about healthcare and certain other markets
you
where
ever
there's
heard
a
of Home
natural...
Depot? You ever heard of Home Depot?
Yes, I'm aware.
So one of the guys who's the founders of Home Depot, investors of Home Depot, his name is Ken Langone. His father died at 62 years old. Ken Langone today is roughly 90 years old, give or take. When he died at 62 years old, he tells the story that if there was a simple thing as blood thinners, his father would have lived to be 90 years old just like he is today.
Yes. That makes sense.
Came because of innovation, which he's been on for many years. My dad's been on blood thinners for the last 40 years. So
I think
the
you're
conflating
two things right now. Not all innovation is the result of the market, because many healthcare developments are created by research grants from healthcare funding, whether it's in the United States or in other countries. In most other first world countries, the result of medical research developments, which are massively outpacing that in the U.S. now because of our inefficiency, because we have a market-based system for healthcare.
A very basic question for you.
Most of that is because
a very basic
of
question
non-market-based
I
systems.
mean, this is actually a really good point. Okay, so you guys got to look at this from two different perspectives. And listen, we might have communists watching today. I actually got a communist commented on my channel the other day. They said, Karlyn, I don't agree with much of the stuff you say, but thank you for telling the truth about us, which was actually kind of nice that a communist admitted that I was telling the truth about them. But there might be communists watching this channel, but I think most of the people watching this channel are not on the side of the left. And I just want people to understand that the people watching this video are going to have one of two perspectives. If you are an anti-communist, you might think that Patrick Bet David is winning, but I promise you, people who are actually communists, they think the communists are winning because the communists are actually running circles around him, and the reason that the communists are running circles around him is he doesn't actually understand their arguments and he doesn't actually understand their language. So if communists are watching this video, they're going to go, Patrick Bet David's a fucking moron, whereas if anti-communists who are not familiar with the left are watching this video, they're going to think, oh yeah, Patrick Bet David is owning the libs, bro. So no one's mind is getting changed from this video, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's not a single communist that's going to watch this video and is going to say, dang, that Patrick Bet David insurance salesman, he really showed me about communism, because they're going to see the communists and go, they're making all the right arguments, and this sales jackass billionaire who doesn't even care about us, he's not even understanding it.
Question for you. If that's the case, it keeps going back to the same thing. If it's better in other places than it is here, why are Americans and others not going there? Why are people coming here? It's very basic.
How much does a plane ticket cost?
No, they have the money to go to different places. They don't, because they know America's the greatest country in the world. They know it.
Okay.
Appreciate
nice
you.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
I'm Luke.
Luke?
Yes.
Like
Luke.
the hat. Good to meet you.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to meet you too. So I think incentives are exactly the fundamental problem with capitalism. Is that you say incentives are what make it work, and I think that's the whole issue. Is that the primary incentives are either greed, amass as much personal wealth as you possibly can.
You think that's the problem? It's greed?
Yeah, exactly. And
like you're not greedy at all.
And like you said, survival.
Yeah.
Right? So the person, working 5.
No, it would never happen. I am not remotely relevant enough for that. And to be honest, I don't actually want to be. I don't want to be on shows like this. If I was on shows like this, it would raise my profile way too high, and I wouldn't. This is honestly the truth. I still go undercover at events, and I'm able to still go undercover at events precisely because I don't do stuff like this that puts me super high profile. I want to be more of like an underground cult like figure. Like literally, I want to be an underground cult figure that people find me when they're ready for like the real shit, but I can't be. I'm actually very mindful of like, what is the balance between when am I going to stop being able to do undercover stuff? Like, and I like doing undercover stuff. And so, no, I decline. No, thank you.
Jobs, that they're doing that to they wouldn't want to do that if they didn't need to survive. But that's such a horrible dystopian world to live in. If someone has to work 5 jobs just to survive.
How did they get there? How much of that is on their decision making? How much of that is on their doing? How much of that is on the market where they're not finding ways to improve themselves?
It doesn't matter how much onus is on the individual. We want to create a world.
Of course it is.
No. See, we want to create a world in which people don't have to earn their right to exist, to live.
We live in a country where majority of the world wants to come here. The most important citizenship country is America.
Right.
People give up their lives to come here. Have you ever lived in another country before?
No, not lived, no.
Why do you think so many want to come here?
I think the people coming here are coming from gang-ridden, corruption-ridden, violence-ridden...
You think that's just all it is? You think I came from a gang-ridden in Iran? I lived there 11 years.
I think the majority of... Certainly coming from South America.
Most people come here because what you're doing to me... You're sitting across from me right now.
Right.
Millions of people are going to watch this. In America, you can call me out. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're free and safe here, right?
Sure. Freedom of speech is nothing to do with
You can't do that in
capitalism.
Iran. Of course it is. There's a lot of elements with America. You're talking incentive. The amount of benefits America offers against other countries, it's so much higher, where somebody with big dreams, incentives, they're willing to come and say, I want to come to America, please let me in. And some come and take advantage of it. But to say the individual that's working 3 to 5 jobs. If you do that for a season, if you do that for 2 years, if you do that for 5 years, fine. If you do that for 20, 30 years, you're doing something wrong.
But the point is, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Those are the inalienable rights. We shouldn't have to earn those rights. We shouldn't have to earn the right to health care.
You do have to earn it.
Earn the right. No, because we just want to live, exist. We can't work our blood, sweat, and tears just to survive. That's a horrible dystopian world that we live in right now.
No, then what do you think we're here for? To just sit around and play video games?
What do
you think we're here for? To sit around and watch TV shows?
We're here
to sit and watch cat videos?
Oh my God. Patrick Bet-David is looking like every single person the left hates. He is like the epitome of why leftists are communists. It's like this fucking smug, arrogant attitude that like, if you're not doing what I think you should be doing and you're an insurance salesman, then you are lazy and playing video games all day. Let me tell you what. Listen, you might I am not on the communist side, but to actually say, you just want to play video games all day, do you think that's going to change everyone's fucking mind? Communists literally usually have more than one job, and on top of that job, they are usually volunteering or organizing or doing some sort of mutual aid thing or something like that. These people do actually work. They do actually focus on things that they think are going to make the world better. And for some, like, imagine your oh God, I don't know. Like, I'm older, so maybe this is a bad example, but imagine you're in your 20s and you got a job and you're just trying to get by and you can barely even afford an apartment and some food and all that stuff. And you're just like, man, when is things going to start to get easier? It's really hard because I'm working this job. I can barely afford this apartment. And some smug insurance salesman looks at you and said, you're just being lazy and you have to earn everything and you just want to sit around playing video games all day. And it's like, you're like, bro, I'm literally not sitting around playing video games. I'm working. I have a job. It's just really hard. And he's going, well, you just have to work. It's like, this is every smug asshole who makes people communists in the first place.
We are here to create a prosperous community to lift everyone up.
How do you create a prosperous community? How do you create a prosperous community? Matter of fact, for you, how have you positively impacted a community?
I guess volunteering, food banks.
Volunteering, food. I appreciate you for doing that.
Volunteering.
Have you created jobs for others?
Created jobs? No, I wouldn't say so.
Why have you not?
Because he doesn't believe in it.
I haven't had the ability to do so.
Do you think it's easy or do you think it's hard?
To create jobs is probably hard, yeah.
Okay, so the people that create jobs, you think they should have a little bit of incentive for having risked their life savings, spend time away their families to create jobs so somebody like you can work for that company?
Sure, but that is
the incentive.
And bravo for them, but that does not give them the right to pay themselves $2 million bonuses while their workers are scraping by at like $10 an hour.
You don't get to choose how much money I choose to make. That's not your business. That's my business. If you have 4 girlfriends, and I have one. Is it my business to tell you can't have 4 girlfriends?
I think
if you play 7 hours of Fortnite every day,
right,
and I don't play Fortnite at all, should I tell you you shouldn't be able to play 7 hours of Fortnite a day?
In my view.
Hey, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Queer communist.
How are you?
Queer
What's
communist.
your name?
Queer communist.
Zena.
Awesome.
Oh,
So
wait,
this kind of incentive is
on.
one that we see often promoted by capitalism enjoyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this
Capitalism
idea that
enjoyers.
profit incentives is the only thing that can make humans do things, get up out of bed every day, which has never been the case historically. It's not the case psychologically.
Historically, it's never been the case?
No.
What has been the case?
So we've seen.
What's been the incentive?
The incentive is intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation?
Of course. Have you ever heard of intrinsic motivation?
Of course I have. So you think people are going to go just do anything for no incentives?
The incentive is intrinsic, meaning passion, interest, and honing your skills.
Whether you get paid or not.
Well, the problem is that we're forcing people to, need to, work to survive.
So what's the alternative? So give me another solution, another economical
system. May I finish the talking point?
Yeah, actually, I'm
awesome.
curious.
So the psychological theory of self-determination is widely accepted in psychology. It basically explains that intrinsic motivation and passion is actually what predicts incentive. You're arguing that incentive is integral to profit-driven motivation. That's not true. Extrinsic motivation, at all times, at every single case, is going to, predict less creativity, less motivation, less skill, etc. Intrinsic motivation is what causes things like technological development. Some of the greatest breakthroughs have been from people who are devoted in honing their skill.
So should they get paid for it?
I think that we shouldn't live in a system that privately owns the means of production and forces people in this position.
What college did you go to?
USC.
You went to USC. What did you major in?
Sociology.
Sociology. Who's your hero as a professor? Who's the professor you look up to?
This doesn't seem like a topic that's related to capitalism.
The reason why I asked this question is because somebody convinced you of that. Somebody convinced you that is the way that
psychology and studies convinced me of this fact about the human mind.
But unfortunately, to your claim, results show that the greatest economical system is capitalism that allows people to go above and beyond and solve every single issue out there. An entrepreneur who gets up, who says,
what was your claim again, mister?
I'm going to incentive. The entrepreneur
what about
who has an incentive to go out there and build their lives, and you put no monetary incentive.
So I'm saying that this incentive that you're talking about, what predicts the best incentive, the best drive, and the best creativity
so what do you think about
has been proven by psychology.
What do you think about Elon Musk?
Can we respond to my claim?
This is about incentive.
All right, awesome. So you're arguing that incentive is intrinsic and tied to extrinsic motivation. What we find is that the best incentive comes from intrinsic motivation.
So a person that's passionate about solving an issue is going to build something bigger than somebody else that's not.
Yeah, so someone who has a true passion for this.
Yeah, so
exactly. So profit motivation is not the thing that's driving innovation, right?
Course
psychology.
Of course
so psychology proves that that's not the case.
There's not,
that profit's not the reason that we have the greatest inventions that we do today.
I don't know if I disagree with the fact that there's a passion behind it. Are you saying people with passion, even if there wasn't the incentive to make as much money as they would make, people would still pursue it even with or without money?
That's what psychology says.
Well, your claims are wrong because
that's not true.
Whoever your psychology professor is, if you look at data and you find out how America, that's only been around for 249 years, schooled all the other countries that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years more, they did better than others because the incentive
they accumulated profit, right, to
That's
1% of the population
not
and
necessarily.
continue to produce on that
not
basis.
Necessarily. It's
right,
not,
we have this. Okay.
It's not necessarily.
Do we want to respond because you can say that?
You've been interrupting the entire time. So if you're saying about the 1%.
I am shocked that she didn't say that the United States was so successful because of slavery. She's not a very good communist if that wasn't like the first answer that came into her head.
% are the problem, and they're the only ones that make money.
That's
a lot of
not
people
what I
make money. You said the profit goes to the 1%.
I'm explaining how it is that America has become the dominant power that it is now, right? What we see is that because we have this engine, right, this desire to accumulate profit, we morally justify things like going to other countries, imperializing them, colonizing them, and extracting their resources, right, to funnel our country, right? Social democracies in the Nordic countries don't do this. So yeah, they might not be the wealthiest power, but they have higher rates of education, literacy, human satisfaction, etc. Right, so it depends on what we actually value in a society. Do we value well-being or do we value profit accumulation?
Validates your point. If that's the case, people would move to those states. They don't. When you judge a great restaurant by the amount of people that come in, you can say the food sucks here.
Yeah,
you can say the service sucks here. But everybody's lined up to want to come here. They're not lined up to go into those countries. They're just used by professors as theories.
There were millions of people that also lived in Germany in the 1920s.
I lived in Germany before as well, for 2 years.
Bad communist.
Before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the back.
Go away. No one cares. What is
for partnering with us on this episode? Now, let's get into it.
My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
Okay, capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system. What are communists going to say in response to that? Pop quiz. Patrick Bet-David's claim is that capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
My next...
What are communists going to say to that? How do you think the communists are going to answer them? Yeah, get your capitalism commercials out of my communism. Yeah, exactly. The system creates poverty. Yep. Here's what I think they're going to say. Capitalism oppresses more people than it has lifted because they believe that capitalism literally oppresses everyone. Poverty was created by capitalism because capitalism created currency. Yep. They believe the whole system of capitalism is oppressing them, so they think it's the opposite of what Patrick Bet-David is saying. Communists will say capitalism fundamentally oppresses all of us. They will say it creates an inequitable system. By the way, communists believe that capitalism oppresses the ownership class, the bourgeois class, just as much as it oppresses everyone else. They just think they aren't aware of it. Yep. You guys are all basically saying the same thing. Communism oppresses everyone. That's going to be their answer.
Claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
Yeah, they're deeply anti-Semitic.
How are you?
Yeah.
Gabby?
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
So I would argue that governments have actually lifted the most people out of poverty. If you look historically, we look at China, for instance, had the most significant poverty reduction in all of human history. They pulled 800 million people out of poverty using state-owned enterprises and state centralized planning. They did work with the capitalist system, but they did it, most of it was done through state-funded infrastructure, education, and contributing to strong literacy programs, redistributing the wealth. I think that my other argument would be that there hasn't been an opportunity for alternative systems like socialism to pull enough people out of poverty. So we look at examples.
There hasn't been?
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed.
Because
and
they
so
haven't been
when
global.
we say, I think that is because, partly because of the US, and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts to do socialism.
So that's what I said earlier when I told you guys that communists and socialists believe that a communist country cannot survive if it was surrounded by capitalist countries. She literally just said that. She just said, well, it's the capitalist countries that have sabotaged every effort to try communism, and that's why they believe that the United States needs to fall. That's why they believe that socialism needs to be a globalist endeavor, because if you have just one sea of communism surrounded by capitalism, then the communists will sabotage it. Let's just listen to that again so you guys can hear what this sounds like.
There hasn't been?
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed. And so when
Why
we
do you
say,
think that is?
I think that is because, partly because of the US, and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts to do socialism. So we look at an example in Chile in the 1960s. They elected a democratic socialist, and he proposed literacy reform, wealth redistribution, land reform, and all of that was a threat, obviously, to the United States because McCarthyism was on the rise at the time. And so instead of allowing Allende to have a chance with that, the U.S. Orchestrated a CIA-backed coup to take over and to have a military dictatorship that led the country instead of Allende, who actually was having a lot of success in reducing the poverty rates before the U.S. interfered. And so I think we look at other parts of Latin America, like Venezuela, for instance, and we see the same thing. We see that the U.S. has interfered several times. You know, with Chavez in Venezuela, he was able to reduce the poverty reduction in half in the first decade of him being in office, and he was sabotaged ultimately by the U.S. and by a military dictatorship, so that the people that replaced them were actually.
So may I respond? It's a lot of different cases here. So let's thank you for that. Let's go China first. Okay, so when you say China was able to recover and because they use state-funded, nationalized systems, so. In 1978, Xiaoping, the leader of China, went to Japan. He saw what was going on with Japan for 2 decades. Every year, their GDP was growing by 15%. The economy was doubling pretty much every 4 years. They go over there, they say, we got to find a way to compete with Japan. How do they have fewer people, but they're beating us? They sit down with their leaders after a few drinks. Eventually, they say, how did you fix your economy to be growing the way that it is? A capitalistic society that they had in Japan. They asked the question from Xiaoping, the Prime Minister Fukuda, asked the question, how many banks do you guys have in China? He says, we have one bank. He said, it's a nationalized bank? He says, yeah. That's it? Yeah. How many loan officers do you have? Not many. You want to compete with one bank? Yes. He says, if you want to compete with us or others, here's what you have to do. You need 5,000 banks with 35 branches, with 30 loan officers. That's a total of 5.25 million loan officers and a population of 600 million people that are living there. You do that every week. You take 10 applications with these loan officers for small business owners, and you allow the small business owner to compete. They did that. China started competing. By the way, in America in the 1920s, we had around 30,000 banks when we were really, competing in a marketplace. In the 80s, we ended up having around 14,000. Today, we only have 4,100 banks in America. That concept of allowing just one bank to compete, it's not going to work. China takes on the idea from Japan.
If I can interrupt you, I mean, I think that
they start growing with certain capitalistic philosophies.
I think you're thinking about this in very capitalist terms, which makes sense. You're a capitalist, but
because it works, that's the idea. Because it's produced the results.
You're only thinking about these scenarios in a situation where market mechanisms are in place, and this is the problem that I have with so many capitalists: is they can't exit their worldview and try to see a world where socialism could be in place because they don't understand the untapped potential of socialism. And I'm a democratic socialist. I think that we need to build forward towards that with reforms, and I think we need to work with the government. I I don't think that we should abandon the state. I also don't think that we should give state elites the complete control over society. I do think that we should work with the state to instill these reforms and then eventually erode capitalism.
But unfortunately, socialism has had hundreds of years
in terms of
to produce results, and it hasn't worked. Do you know why it doesn't work, though?
It's been sabotaged.
It's been sabotaged, or because it forces people to do something they don't want to do?
Does capitalism not do the same?
No, capitalism
We're
gives you
7 million people in this country who have to work multiple jobs just to get by.
I have to work multiple jobs for a season.
They're forced to do that because either they do that or they starve. So if the options are to work or to starve, that's not freedom.
Capitalism oppresses everyone.
Respectfully, if you do that for a period of your life, I understand it. If you're doing that for 30 years, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working multiple jobs for the rest of your life.
So first of all, I'm not going to argue with this moral argument. I think that people who live in poverty, especially when we look at how many people live in poverty in this country, and also it depends on how you define the poverty line, but there's 40 million Americans who live below the poverty line in this country. There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth. How does that work in a country that is
You really
built
want to go there? You want to go there? Okay, so let's talk about it. So when we talk about the rich people at the top, okay, and you say, well, the rich don't pay enough taxes. Do you know what the bottom 50% of taxpayers in America pay towards the revenue that the government gets in taxes? Do you know what the bottom 50% pays?
Tell me.
2% of taxes. Do you know what the top 1% pays?
There's been several years.
Do you know what the top 1%?
Nothing.
Do you know?
They've been nothing.
No, hang on a second.
Taxes.
This is from the IRS. I'm not writing a blog from Huffington Post. This is not Daily Beast. I'm telling you the story. The top 1% pays 42%
I'll say this: the
of
top
all
1%
tax
is
revenue.
about to pay a lot less in taxes because of the provision
They'll
that just went
actually
into
end up paying
Trump's,
even
your
more
guys'
revenue to the
big
government.
beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was fast.
Hi, I'm Anne.
Anne, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tattoos on her arms.
So I do want to address part of the claim about poverty, but I also want to address what you brought up about like paying taxes. You said the top 1% pays a large amount of taxes. The problem is that the bottom 2 quintiles can't pay taxes because they quite literally have no wealth. Do you understand that? Like the bottom quintile of the United States doesn't have any wealth. In fact, they're in debt, so they have literally like negative wealth.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think that's because workers have been exploited. I think that they haven't had the opportunity to gain social mobility.
Why do you think that is?
Because of exploitation.
You think they're being exploited?
Yes.
Oh, so people are being forced to work at companies. They don't have a choice.
I didn't say that they were.
So people are being.
They are being forced. If the other option is starve or die.
Patrick Bet-David does not understand the argument again that the communist is making. Communists believe that capitalism fundamentally oppresses everyone, that everyone is being exploited in the capitalist system to go do things that they wouldn't otherwise do in order to survive within the capitalist system.
Have right now. What do you do for a living?
I do work from home stuff. I don't want to disclose that.
So you chose to do that, right? That's your choice. Great. If somebody works at Starbucks as a barista, it's their
this is correct. They believe that a society has to go through capitalism in order to get to communism. And if the society doesn't fully industrialize through capitalism, then they will never fully be able to realize the communist like ideal or utopia or whatever. They believe that the United States right now is in late stage capitalism. So essentially, they believe that their revolution could happen at any time. And it just depends on what spark kind of foments the revolution.
Choice. If somebody has a job that they're working, it's their choice. If somebody is not utilizing their time properly and accordingly, of course the market's not going to pay you
Do you
more.
think that, like, they brought up single mothers earlier. Do you think that single mothers are sitting around playing Fortnite 15 hours a day?
Unfortunately, single mothers were manipulated on what happened.
Is that a yes or no?
Single mothers were manipulated by what Lyndon Johnson came out with. They changed the benefits on giving single mothers the incentive to have kids on all the welfare program. That changed our system in a major way. The feminist movement got single mothers to believe they don't need men and they're going to do everything by themselves and they don't need a man to help them out. This division that's happened between us caused many people to be in the situation that they're
most
at.
households are 50-50. They're closer to 50-50 today, so that has nothing to do with feminism.
Not
Feminism
necessarily.
didn't just like convince women because they're too stupid to think for
Feminism was
themselves.
one of the worst things that happened in America because it pinned men against women.
Do you think that women are so stupid that they've been
I don't.
brainwashed? Okay, so you don't think that they've just fallen into this feminist propaganda? You don't think they're idiots?
No, I don't think that, but I do think people can be manipulated
but they're
and
not
brainwashed.
stupid enough to do that because the majority of people are splitting
there are so
nearly
many
towards
people
50-50.
that bought into a philosophy that stole decades away from their lives, decades away from their lives because they bought into an idea that didn't produce the results.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about capitalism is the best economical system
He's literally not making
that
sense.
provides the best
She's
results for people.
But we can't
in this case, the communist is actually right. Nothing Patrick Bet-David is saying is making sense. He's not even actually answering the arguments that she has.
Jump back and forth between claim to claim to claim. So the claim about feminism brainwashing people into being single mothers, how does that work?
didn't say, I said feminists originally brainwashed women to believe men are the enemy. That led to where we are today. Last week, report came in.
Single mothers?
Yes, in many cases, because they don't need men.
Do you have evidence for that?
100%.
You really think a single mother wants to be a single mother?
Absolutely, we have evidence of that.
You think the single mother making minimum wage down the road, like working for some grocery store, having to take care of all of her children, is just like, I just don't need a man. I just want to be independent.
What percentage?
I'll live in abject poverty to be independent.
What percentage of the U.S. revenue that we get in you think we use for entitlement programs? What percentage?
I don't remember the exact
What do you think the
percentage.
number is? So we bring in $4.9 trillion.
But it's far less than what we do in private spending.
We bring $4.9 trillion in, okay? The U.S. revenue comes in. What percentage do you think goes to entitlement programs?
I don't know.
What do you think is a reasonable number?
Well, what you're calling entitlement programs, I'm actually not sure what you mean by that.
I'm talking about Social Security. I'm talking about
so social
Section
welfare.
8. I'm talking about any of these.
It's much less than other OECD countries.
What percentage do you think
I don't
it is?
remember the exact percentage, but it's much less than other
What do you
OECD
think
countries.
It is? You think it's 10%?
We are far behind.
20%? 30%? What do you think the number is?
No, but it's relatively low compared to
But
other
what
OECD
do you
countries.
think it is? Can you guess the number?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
68%. Can we fact check that?
You can fact check that.
Okay.
Please do so.
Please.
68% goes to entitlement programs.
Of our federal budget?
No, of the revenue that comes in, 68%.
So the capita GDP.
Not GDP. You're confusing the two different things here. Actual tax revenue that we get.
Okay, so tax revenue.
68%
now
of
that
it
we're
goes
specific.
towards entitlement programs. 68%. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Oh,
Hi.
God,
I want to
she's
say
gonna
that
be
I
a
think it's
handful,
pretty
isn't she?
comical that an elite such as yourself has the goal to tell us average Americans who's in poverty and who's not. A lot of times,
was an average American.
You're
I
not
was
anymore.
a guy that was in poverty.
You're not anymore.
And you can also
you're
change.
Very,
You can also change.
Anyways,
Do you believe
you're
you can
talking
change?
down. A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times, like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day,
Yeah.
I'm not in
But that's
poverty.
because
I
it's
can
around the world,
actually
not in
live. I can pay
America.
the rent.
Sure.
But we're talking about this country, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to skirt from America and talk about other
Actually, I've
countries
been
to try
saying
to make it
multiple
look like
times,
we're better, but we're
America
actually
is the
getting
greatest
worse.
country in the world.
Anyways, it's the greatest country.
Hands
We're at
down, it's not
we
even
are at the
close.
highest that we've ever been with homelessness since we started collecting
Why
data.
is that? Ask your. Are you from
because
California?
we haven't had a
Are
pay
you
raise
from
since
California?
2009.
Do you live
Our
here?
minimum wage nationally
Yeah.
is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning? Can you survive? Would you like to live off $7.25
I used
an
to
hour?
work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
And that
went
was
and
a
worked
very
at
different time.
Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make
Then
now?
I make millions today. Then
Right,
I
and
worked
that's
at
why
Bob's
you like
Big Boy.
capitalism, because we're not
No,
all
but-
making
but
that.
the- but
and
the
that's my
difference
point.
is- but
a
the difference
millionaire is
between
critiquing
the-
people
the-
in
no,
poverty
the
and
difference-
saying
my
you should
hope-
work harder. You should work. You know,
My
you can be
hope-
lean.
my
We can't
hope-
all be it.
My hope is that you believe you can change and improve. That you believe you can upgrade yourself. That's my
It's
belief.
very, you know what? That's what rich
But-
people like you want to keep
Yeah.
telling us.
But
You
yeah,
can be
the
just like
difference-
me. Do you want to be
yeah.
like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not
you can
saying
be like
that.
me.
I
It's
don't.
not very
It's
realistic.
actually you wouldn't be able to be like me because
You're
you wouldn't
talking
work that
down to
hard.
people like
Would you
us.
work that hard?
You don't,
Would
I'm
you?
not going to tell you. I don't have to answer.
Patrick Bet-David doesn't even understand what these people are saying. Now, this woman is annoying, and I don't actually think she's a real communist. But like, he has no like. Patrick Bet-David thinks he owned the libs. Well, congratulations, bro. You didn't actually convince anyone not to be a communist. In fact, you probably entrenched more people in communist ideology as a result of this. Like, honestly, piss poor performance because you don't even understand what you're talking about. Patrick Bet-David probably created more committed communists in the having of this debate than he would have if he had just kept his mouth shut.
So
Would
that
you, if you don't
I don't
choose
have to measure my I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
you don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You
I
can't
can't
be upset.
for people who are
No,
struggling.
because they work
and that's
harder
what's wrong
than
with
you.
capitalism. Because
But
you
go back
think
to the
that
homelessness.
You have to work so hard.
Do you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
She's a progressive. What did I say?
Takes corporate
What did
money.
I say? What did I say? I was sitting here going, this bitch is not a real communist. What did she just say? I'm a progressive. She's not a real communist. There is no reality in which real communists are going to call themselves a progressive.
You said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he was...
He takes corporate money.
Fantastic.
He takes money from people like
when
you.
He was,
he's not
I've never given him money. But do you know when he first became a governor,
a surprise, but a
I
lot
would
of people
never
like
give
you
him
have.
money. But when he became a governor first, from then till today, he's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
Okay, you know, I don't like the guy, but he's not at fault for homelessness. People like you are. Billionaires like you are the problem.
Gave him 24 billion. Taxpayers
I believe it.
gave
I don't
him
like that guy.
$24 billion, and he didn't do nothing with it. And it increased.
Vote him out.
You
He's
vote
just
him
like
out. You have him. It's not that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to defend Newsom.
You can
but
go.
You're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same class.
But you're sitting here blaming a person who's changed their lives for the better, and it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David.
Do you know
this
where?
This is the United States of America.
I know, and I'm
all
so
of our
grateful to
people.
be here. I'm
and you
so
say
grateful
that,
to
but
be
are
here.
you willing to pay more taxes
I
so
am
that
so
other people don't
grateful to be
suffer?
here.
Are you willing to pay more taxes so other people don't suffer?
I am so grateful to be here.
I see you're
My dad was a cashier in Inglewood at a 99-cent store. We had nothing. No, I don't tell you that's great. We had nothing. I'm the guy that had I'm the guy that had a
propaganda that you guys so you can be like me.
But what you don't want to hear is that because it's the truth.
We
Can I ask you a
all
question?
be like you.
When's the last time you read a business book? When's the last time you read a self-help book?
I don't need to answer that. Oh,
When's the last time you read a self-help?
I wrote a self-help book.
Tell me
I'm a writer. I'm a creative.
Tell me what self-help book you read.
I'm not.
Give
I
me
don't
one.
need to.
Give me one you read. Are you willing to take one recommendation?
No.
You're not.
Not for me.
Then I can't help you.
That's okay. I don't need your help. I didn't come here.
Then great. You've been flagged out.
Good.
Awesome.
See, that's the other annoying thing I saw in the clips that I saw from this was like Patrick Bet-David seems to think that these people want his help. These people loathe Patrick Bet-David. And listen, that woman we were just watching wasn't a real communist, but I'm going to tell you, like, most communists would not touch anything that had to do with Patrick Bet-David with a 10-foot pole. And it doesn't matter how much money he's going to give them, and it doesn't matter what job he's going to give them. It's like he seems to think he's like the benevolent, like handing out, care packages or whatever. These people hate him. They hate everything he stands for. They are not going to work with him. Patrick Bet-David seems to be under the impression that these people just can't get jobs and they just, they're just lazy and they just want a job and they just, and all this stuff. And it's like, this is part of their identity. They don't want anything to do with you, bro.
How's it going, man?
What's your name?
Armin.
Armin?
Yep, Armin Crow. When you said capitalism is the best form of economic organization the world has ever seen, it made me think of a very particular picture from history.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know this, it's a little history lesson. In 1900, King Leopold II of Belgium determined that the entire land of the Democratic Republic of the Congo was his personal property. And within 10 years, capitalists came out, they exploited all the land, extracted trillions of dollars of resources. 15 million Congolese died. For reference, the Holocaust killed 6 million people. And the most famous picture from that time in history is a rubber worker staring at the disembodied hands of his 8-year-old daughter because he didn't hit his rubber quota. I'm willing to bet that man worked harder to hit that rubber quota than anything you've ever worked for in your entire life. And I think when you say this is the best system that's ever been created, to me, that's the result. That's what happens when there's no rules.
It's devastating when you hear stories like that. I don't disagree with you. They had it hard. They worked very hard, and they had risk on the line. Many times it was their lives that was on the line. And you see that in many different places when you go back and study history. That's why today in America, that can't happen. In America, you have a choice to do what you want to do with your life. When we go back and look at those stories, we can go to see what communism did. How many lives were killed because of communism control? You don't need to go through that number. You hear the numbers between 60 to 100 million. We can go that route. But if you're talking about which provided the best economical system today, you judge it by how many want to go live somewhere that gives you that opportunity, and that is America.
Do you know why kids can't work in America?
Why kids can't work in America?
Why there's child labor laws.
Yeah, because of child labor laws.
It was labor unions. They were getting shot at by police officers to fight for the weekend, to fight for the 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
Another good example is the 1908 mill children's strike. It was thousands of kids who were working 80-hour work weeks striking so they would only have to work 50 a week. That's what happens when there's no rules, right? And then the government had to come in and say, you can't employ children. So I think capitalism
We don't
itself,
disagree here with that. I don't think we're sitting here talking about child labor. Are you hearing me talking about capitalism is the best system because it provides child labor in America?
He's never read the Communist
capitalism, there's no guardrails inherently. The government has to come in. People have to go and organize. And I think what you've seen for the past 50 years under neoliberal politics is that's slowly being chipped away. All the good things of the New Deal, like Social Security, the 40-hour work week.
I do think you need law and order, but also at times, you know, the amount of rules you put in place can prevent incentives. Right now, if you think about drones, warfare is changing, okay? And 70 to 80% of all drones that are being built today are being built by a company called DJI in China. Ukraine was building 1,000 drones a day at $500 and going and hitting $5 million equipment of Russia, destroying them. 68% of their attacks was from drones. When you come to America, look at us. We're at 1 to 2% at the top. Let me explain my point to you here. Part of it is overregulation. Overregulation, FAA laws, this laws, that law. So 500 startups that got into the drone business, they walked away because it's overregulation. Many cases, when you say, I want to put this rule in place, great, another person, no, I want to go this much. No, I want to go this much. No, I want to go this much. It eventually gets to the point that it chokes the innovator, and that's also not good.
I would disagree. I think regulation is the reason why there's no lead in our gas. You were talking about incentives. The only incentive that really matters to a good capitalist is profit. It is profitable to put lead in the gas, and it doesn't matter if it lowers the IQs of kids living nearby by 15 points.
Unfortunately, someone's convinced you at a young age that these capitalists are bad people.
Well, then,
that they're
why
terrible
are they fighting against? Why are they fighting against taking?
That's not what they're talking about. The system of capitalism is what they're against.
Let out of their gas.
Think about it this way. You know, the main thing, I don't know if you know Michael Burry's. You ever seen the movie Big Short? You know, at the end of the movie where it says Michael Burry now is focused on water because he thinks water is the future gold or whatever he calls it, right? Okay. Go to the company that's Coca-Cola, that sells Coke. And how much criticism have you had over the years with Coke, right?
I think Nestle's had a lot of criticism because they don't think water is a human right for the...
That's a different conversation. If I may finish the point, one thing with Coca-Cola is the following. Do you know even Coke got to a point that they realized in order for Coca-Cola to be around 50 years from now, 100 years from now, they went and invested billions of dollars to fix the water issue around the world. They're trying to get cleaner water. Capitalists eventually get forced to take care of the person because having lead in the water is just not a good policy long term.
Okay.
Surrounded is now a podcast.
No one cares. Wait, what's the claim? Oh, this guy.
It would return to the same pockets within 5 years.
Okay.
We're divided equally.
So the claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets in 5 years. All right, this isn't even a good argument to make with communists, but okay, let's see where this goes. I'm not even going to ask my audience what the communist argument is going to be because this is just such a shitty argument to make when you're talking to communists about communism. It's just like, this is going to go nowhere, I promise you.
Return to the same pockets within 5 years.
Yeah, well, exactly. Communists don't believe there should be fucking money, Patrick Bet David. This is, okay, the crux of the problem for people who are new. Communists want to eliminate all money. Communists want to eliminate all banks. Communists don't want to take the existing wealth and just redistribute it and give everyone reparations for whatever the fuck. Communists want to eliminate all fucking money and all banks. Period. Stupid argument. Dumb argument.
Years. What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb?
Yeah, so you
Hippie
just
communists.
said that you are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again, if we're going to give it a serious look, I want to understand, how would you propose that happen?
I hope you realize this is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth...
I just want to point out, this person is obviously a hippie communist. Now, there is a big difference between hippie communists and Antifa. hippie communists, and usually hippie communists are older, but obviously some hippie communists do have kids that they raise to be hippie communists. I saw this really clearly when I went to the Socialism Conference. There was a whole contingent of hippies that had nothing to do with Antifa or today's communist activism at all. So hippie communists are mostly harmless. They're usually not tuned in to like leftist activist scenes. This person's obviously a character. I don't expect this person to make the arguments of actual communists because he's a hippie communist.
Which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take. You divide it by 8 billion people,
okay,
it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within 5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be
sure.
honest. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, okay, so you're just now claiming that people who don't have wealth don't know how to manage it. And that's fair because a lot of them have never had it before. So what do we do to basically ensure that people like myself who are currently, thank you to the United States, thank you to the state of California for giving me medical insurance to get blood work.
There is no universe in which a real communist would thank the United States and the state of California. This guy's not a real communist.
Okay. For giving me
Just
food
a
stamps so I
hippie.
can have food. I've applied to, I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations. Like, I am trying my best to use my values with the freedom that we have
So if
here.
I gave you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could. The issue is, and again, you may say that this is a personal weakness, but like right now, substitute teaching, tutoring, trying to help in that way is making it so that I'm able to scratch by.
Yeah.
But without the supplemental income and the help from the society of people who make more money, I'm going to not have enough
if I
food.
may, I want to address something which you made a point that I agree with. On why don't some people create wealth? In my family, when I was growing up, and I was telling this young lady over here, when my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store, we've never owned an insurance policy before. My parents, we've never owned a house before. I've never lived in an apartment with a swimming pool before. We've never had a 401k stock, mutual fund, none of that stuff. I had no clue how money worked. So for me, when I got out of the Army with a 1.8 GPA, out of high school, I went straight to the Army because I didn't know how money works. If you look at our system today, in high school, we learn about a lot of different things. They don't teach us about taxes, finances, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Colleges don't even teach a lot of that right now. So
Do you
come
work in
out.
a high school?
Did I work at a high school?
Have you have experience like me, someone who's essentially on those front lines working in?
I've worked with many high school teachers and the directors of psychology to talk to the youth. Yes,
So
I have.
right now, I'm in a position where I have options, like you said. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying to
I think you're too
discriminate.
selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be selective at this stage.
Well, but the thing is, I do
wanna make
because I'm
some-
instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given, and I don't actually have
Yeah.
to because of the system. Like you said, I don't have to play along with some corrupt game. So I gave up
I think
a
California is
career.
perfect for someone like you.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah, I think it
California
is.
agrees. But you mentioned earlier in a previous discussion that we have free speech, we can say what we want.
Right.
But the thing is, have you been punched on the train for how you look and how you share your ideas?
Do I look like an American to you? Do you see this nose?
No, I'm just asking,
I'm Middle
has-
Eastern. You know what's happened to this guy? You know what's happened to me when I was discriminated all over the place?
So do you really feel like that's free speech
no,
if you're being
but I don't mind
punished
it. I don't.
by people who have prejudice
I
against
don't
you?
mind it because I understand there is risk that you may be disrespected. They're like here, I've been disrespected here many times. I've been offended here many times. A lot of you are coming here finding a way to attack me and tell different stories. I'm okay with that.
I don't want to attack you.
You're being very respectful. I'm not talking about you. But what I'm saying to you is, when you say, have you ever been punched in the face on a bus? You don't want to hear about what things has happened to me because of the way I look.
Because I feel
but
like
I don't want to use
you've
that.
been through a lot of trauma
I don't
in your
wanna-
life,
but what I-
and now you're kind of clinging to things
I'm
that
not. What I don't want to
think
do that.
you
I
are.
have my son is sitting right here, my 13-year-old son, my I have 4 kids. I bring them everywhere. I want them to see that it's okay. People going to disagree with you. You
I
have to
am
be
with
comfortable with
13-year-olds
this.
all the time.
You are with
I-
13-year-olds all the time?
Because of my job, because I'm a substitute teacher and a tutor. The thing is,
Got it.
you
I
can
got it.
imply
Yeah.
many different things,
Got
and
it.
that is your right. But what I'm saying is right now,
Yeah.
I care deeply about having a good experience. The incentive that I feel is for peace and prosperity.
I respect it.
And again, I'm using my freedom now, but the issue is you're saying we have all these options, but whenever I tour the globe, I see franchises that have monopolized pretty much everywhere. So when you talk about options, it's really, there's these select few people who have this infrastructure that's really benefiting them more than others, and without some sort of conscious, spiritual, moral awakening, what can we do except for beg and appeal and
well, no, you can't be too selective. At the beginning, when I worked at Haagen-Dazs, I couldn't be too selective for a job.
I can't whenever I can.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, nice.
Appreciate you for being respectful.
I'm glad y'all tripped over each other, because I did too. How's it going? James.
What's your name? James.
So one of the things that you have stated is that we have options, okay? So just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So I'm one of those people that you're talking about that isn't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps enough, which, like, I didn't have boots to begin with, and, like, I don't know if you've ever had boots, but, like, legs are load-bearing structures.
I relate.
And, like, you can't really pull up a boot when you're wearing it, you know? So where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call back on 477?
Because I do not have a degree.
Okay.
Because I do not have a degree, because I could not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay.
So in that, like in the town that I grew up in, for instance, there are 8 jobs, period.
Does your family live there? Mom, dad, everybody's in that same city?
Everybody was at one point.
Okay.
Most of them are dead now.
Okay, sorry to hear.
It is what it is. It's poverty. You know, we're kind of used to that on this side.
Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like the way you speak, like, you're the victim where all this happened?
This is actually okay. So this is one of the few clips that I saw that I actually was kind of on Patrick Bet-David's side, and I'm going to explain why. Like, and this is separate from the whole communist capitalism thing, but I see so many people do this. And just in case you aren't familiar with me, like I used to be a workplace coach. I used to do, like, you know, career coaching and performance coaching and executive coaching and all that stuff. And so one of the things that I would see over and over and over again is people would actually hire me to coach them, to help them get another job, or to help them move up the ladder, or to do whatever they needed to do. And then they had shitty attitudes about it. They were paying me thousands of dollars, and they still had shitty attitudes about it, and they wouldn't do what I asked them to do. And when I say what I asked them to do, we're talking like basic things like, have you updated your resume? Do you want to work together to update your resume? Have you set up job notifications on Indeed.com to find out when new jobs come up in your area? Have you applied for that job? I had so many people, I can't even tell you. I had people come to me that would say, Karlyn, this is my dream job, and they're taking applications. And I go, okay, so we're going to apply for that, right? And they say, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm good enough. What if I never hear back? And it's like they come up with every excuse in the book. And I'm like, hang on. You've paid me thousands of dollars to help you get your dream job. You refuse to update your resume. You refuse to look at job notifications. You're coming to me saying you have this job description for your quote-unquote dream job, and you won't actually submit your resume? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, honestly, what do you want me to do? And so I say that because it's like, people are amazing at self-sabotaging. People are amazing at putting themselves in oppressive, victimized positions when they don't feel worthy of receiving the things they want. This is a thing that most people don't understand. It's not enough to say, I want something. I want to make money. I want to be successful. I want this. I want that. It's not enough to say that. You have to feel worthy of that thing. You have to feel worthy enough to put yourself out there, to open yourself up, to make yourself vulnerable so that you can receive that thing. When we are receiving something, we have to be open to receiving it. This seems very basic and maybe a little woo-woo, but if you are not open to receiving something, then you are closed to receiving it. Which do you think is going to be better for you if you say you want to be successful? Are you going to be more successful if you're open to receiving success, if you're open to receiving love, if you're open to receiving appreciation or admiration or money or any of these things? Are you going to be more successful if you're open to it or closed to it? And a lot of people, without even realizing what they're doing, they close themselves off to receiving these things with a bad attitude, or just like, you know, they think I'm not gonna get what I want anyway, so why should I even try? And then they're gonna self-sabotage the entire thing. So on this conversation, this guy is absolutely self-sabotaging himself 100%. He has a bad attitude. He comes from a poor family. He's bitter about his circumstances. He doesn't believe things can be better. He keeps trying over and over and over again. They keep telling him no, which reinforces that he's always going to be told no. This is his problem. This is his mindset. And the only reason I stopped to say that is because I think a lot of people struggle with this problem. I've seen it so many times, I can't even tell you. If you are sabotaging yourself, if you are not allowing yourself to receive the things you claim to want, that is your fault, and that is your baggage that you need to work through. And if you are unwilling to do that, then don't cry and complain about all the things that you don't have.
To you?
Because I exist and things happen to you, and as such, things happen, and that's why I say that they happen to me.
You're a good-looking guy. Why do you think you're a victim? Why do you think you're somebody that's got into a situation because it's not fair what happened to me? Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be
100%.
willing to move there?
100%.
Okay. On your resume,
It says that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker?
I mean, I feel like 80 hours a week.
That's a
like
hard
that.
worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview you and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
See, look what he did. Patrick Bet-David says, what if I want to interview you and give you a job? And the guy's like, psh. So instantly, he has already put up a wall to say, you're not going to fucking do that. You're not going to do that. When in fact, what's going on is he doesn't feel worthy of receiving that thing because he's been told no so many times. So instead of getting his hopes up and not getting what he wants or having it not work out, he's just going to sabotage it from the get-go by saying, that's not going to happen. And then he's going to have a bad attitude, and he's going to come up with every excuse in the book to not take Patrick Bet-David up on his offer.
Why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what you do 90 days later.
Okay, I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it. But
you
like,
see what just happened
regardless,
right there?
Mike,
Watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gotten back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
I didn't say I look at it if you'd let me finish my sentence.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I would like to look into your company to see exactly what you guys do.
You would like to?
Because I don't know what you guys do. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I may be wasting my time going. If you guys are a finance company, if you guys are a bank or something like that, I don't have the certifications. I don't have the degrees. So even interviewing me would be a moot point.
What if I gave you a job, period, to work 80 hours a week? Would you take it? And I paid you a reasonable wage.
Are we talking a livable wage or a reasonable wage?
What do you
and
make
whose
right
version
now?
of reasonable are we
What do you
talking
make
about?
right
Your
now?
version of reasonable or my version of
But
reasonable?
you see, so now, for me, what I'm noticing from you is
I need specifics?
No, not necessarily. No, most of the people I hire need specifics. The difference is I'm trying to hire them. In this instance, you're trying to get a job and you're being selective. It's going to work against you.
I mean, I'm not trying to get a job. Originally, I was trying to ask you where the moral fell.
My offer's off the table because
fine.
you're going to be difficult to work with.
Okay, sure. But my question was, where is my moral failing? Like, where is it that you are saying that I am not working hard enough and I am not doing enough?
I just experienced it right now because
you are not open to receiving help and love and consideration and support from other people. That is your moral failing. That is what the moral failing is. If you are not open to other people helping you out and you're just going to sabotage it from the get. That is your moral failing. And yeah, it may come from things that have happened to you, but guess what? Everyone in life has had bad things happen to them. Everyone in life has been told no. Everyone in life has had failures. It is your moral failing if you don't get your shit together and then operate in the world in a way that aligns with what you claim to want.
The way you just handled this situation.
Got it. So I should
was-
accept anything
No,
that somebody
it's not-
gives me
not
at
at
first
all.
blush
No.
if it is a guaranteed thing.
No, not necessarily.
I agreed to do your interview. I agreed to be interviewed by
yeah,
you, and you agreed to consider me for hiring.
Yeah.
So therefore, I am taking that opportunity. I've chosen to. But because I am asking you for specifics, your immediate reaction is that, oh, well, you're trying to be picky. When I'm not. I'm asking
specifics. You could have simply
said I need to look up your company. That's all I
you could have
said.
said is, I'm willing to have the interview.
And I
Right?
did.
You would have had the interview.
And I did.
No, you said it depends.
I said,
don't
yeah,
know.
sure.
Let me look.
Yeah,
Let me do
sure.
all
I
this
would
other
look
stuff.
into your company. That's all I said.
I appreciate you. Thank you, James.
Hi.
What's your
I'm
name?
Faye.
Faye?
Yeah,
Good to
nice
meet you.
So how would you define socialism? Because I think you're kind of misunderstanding what anti-capitalist ideals look like.
Called out. Yes, Patrick Bet-David is indeed not understanding what anti-capitalist ideals look like. Called out by a communist. Is she a crip Marxist? Oh, good.
I think we are just trying to advocate for basic rights for our people in this country and across the world, of course. But I don't think it's necessarily about equal wealth disparity around the world. For most people that are anti-capitalist, I think it's more about just standard rights that are provided by the government.
Standard rights that are provided by the government.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So
Go a little bit deeper. So for you, when the claim here is, if the money in the world were divided equally,
Yeah, so
it will
I
return
think-
to the same pockets within 5 years. Do you disagree?
yes.
Tell me why you disagree.
Yeah, so I disagree because I don't even think people are trying to argue for that.
People are not trying
So
to
like,
argue
who
for
are
that.
you arguing in this
Yeah,
debate?
what I'm trying
There's
to
like
say.
a very select amount of people that are trying to argue for equal wealth disparity.
Yeah.
Most people are at least trying to at least advocate for wealth and at all for people that don't have.
She's not articulating this correctly. But what she's essentially saying is, bro, we're not arguing to redistribute the money. We're arguing that the resources should be available to everyone.
Access to healthcare right now, that don't have access to a good education right now, that don't have access to their basic needs like food.
Do you think our system right now allows people to stay in those situations long term?
They force them to stay in those situations long term.
Okay, so part of me actually agrees with you, but why do you think they force them to stay in those situations long term?
I think because they are trying to convince the working class that they don't have rights.
I actually don't think that's what it is, although that's fair to your point here. What's the chances that any of you here voted for Donald Trump in 2024? Exactly, right? What is the chances that all of you here can't stand the phrase MAGA, Donald Trump, any of that stuff? Is that a fair assessment? Fair, okay.
Yeah, so it's your
So
point.
think about it this way. So maybe you're right that the Democratic Party that's been earning your vote for a long time wants to keep you there because they'll have...
Not a single fucking real communist there voted for the Democrats. Patrick Bet-David thinks communists and Democrats are the same thing. If this woman is a real communist, there is no way in this fucking StreamYard just kicked me out. StreamYard just kicked me out. This was not my fault. StreamYard just reloaded. I'm back. StreamYard, I wasn't even touching my computer, and StreamYard just magically reloaded. Yeah, the Democrats shut it down. Exactly. Okay, we're back. No one panic. Everything's fine. Anyway, Democrats and communists are not the same thing. Communists don't vote for Democrats. The only people who vote for Democrats are Democrats and liberals and progressives. If this woman is really a communist, she did not vote for Kamala Harris. She did not vote for Joe Biden. And if Patrick Bet-David thinks that communists and Democrats are the same thing, I even think less of him now than I already did.
I've
Your vote
never
for the
earned
rest
my
of your
vote.
life.
Look, what did she just say? Before I even said anything, he's like, you voted for the Democrats, and she's like, the fuck I did.
And the phrase MAGA, Donald Trump, any of that stuff. Is that a fair assessment? Fair. Okay.
Yeah, so it's your
So
point.
think about it this way. So maybe you're right that the Democratic Party that's been earning your vote for a long time wants to keep you there because they'll have your vote for the rest of your life.
The Democratic Party has never earned the communist vote. Duh.
They have never earned my
Who
vote.
did you vote for in 2024?
In 24, I voted for the socialist candidate.
Who was that?
Claudia de la Cruz, I believe.
Who did you vote for in 2020?
I was actually not able to vote. I was in a hospital.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
You're telling me that communists voted for the candidate for the Party of Socialism and Liberation, which is Claudia de la Cruz? Imagine my shock that the communists aren't voting for the Democrats. If they're voting for anyone, they're voting for another communist.
Because of results of capitalism.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I didn't have access to proper health care or even access to a proper job that would sustain me as a disabled person.
Are you comfortable being specific on what happened?
I
you
guess
don't have
so.
to if you're not
I mean,
comfortable
I'm
with it.
also mentally ill, so that was something I had to deal with. But I'm mainly mentally ill because I am disabled in a capitalist country.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
Who convinced you that you're mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category of mental illness? Is there one? You know why I asked this question? Let me explain to you why I asked this question.
So I don't even like the psychological industry. I don't really stand for like Sigmund Freudian politics or anything like that. So if we're going to debate the ethics of psychology.
I'm not. Where I'm going with this is going back to the same thing with if the money were to divide it equally, it'll end up being worth out within 5 years. My trouble is, in many cases, somebody you and I look up to will say something to us that we choose to believe for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, it could be something where you have ADHD, you're mentally ill, you're poor, you're this, you're that, and we get to choose to buy into that or not. And if you do...
So you're saying I'm not mentally ill or I'm not disabled?
saying you are or you're not. I would challenge it to go a little bit deeper to see if there's anything you can do about it.
So you're asking me about my health. You're asking me about my disability.
I'm not.
And my...
I will say we are in a market where, stay with me here, there is a market where there's profit to convince you that you have issues to take the medication because they're making money.
Yeah, but I
and
don't
I'm
have
not
access to
supportive
the
of that.
medication. I don't have access to even a result or a solution.
Did Patrick Bet-David just make the argument to a room full of communists that capitalism literally created mental illness in order to get them on medication to make money? Does Patrick Bet-David understand that the argument that he just made is literally the communist argument that capitalism creates mental health problems in order to profit off of those mental health problems? Did anyone else catch that? Hang on, let's rewind. Patrick Bet-David, undercover communist.
We are in a market where, stay with me here, there is a market where there's profit to convince you that you have issues to take the medication because they're making money.
Yeah, but I
and
don't
I'm
have
not
access to
supportive
the
of that.
medication. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
Have you been able to go to different doctors and get yourself tested? And
Yeah.
see? You have?
Yes.
And in California?
Yes, but not
And who
enough.
paid
I
for
can't
it?
find a specialist.
You can't find a
I
specialist?
can't find a specialist
Is there
for who
anyone
I
in your
am.
life that's
I
willing to
can't
pay
find
for the
anyone.
specialist?
Well, they could or they would if they had money,
Anybody in
but
your-
they, yeah.
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why
I'm
not?
going to have you go see two. Do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go see two specialists. But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not.
No.
So you
You
simply-
choose as a psychologist.
I
You're
would-
choosing who gets to determine
No,
what my
what
mental
I-
health looks
what I-
like.
what I-
No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, so I think... All right, thanks for
Thank
talking.
you so much. Yes, anytime.
How you doing, man?
What's your name?
Seth.
Seth, good to meet you.
I think your claim kind of doesn't make any sense because it would not inherently be a capitalist society you're describing. Because I'm surprised nobody's really addressed this issue. We haven't even defined what socialism is. Capitalism is a system in which all businesses are funded by millionaires and billionaires, investor classes, If this society, everybody had the same amount of money, I don't really know how the money would be generated up and down. I don't know in this theoretical. It sounds more like an anarchist society, which would make more sense.
We're using this as a hypothetical.
Yeah,
so I want to make sure I qualify that we're not.
We even describe what capitalism is.
But stay on this point here because you came here. Let me go back to this one.
I don't think this guy is a real communist, but let's see how this plays out.
If all the money in the world divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I disagree.
Tell me why you
I
disagree.
believe in a system more akin to that kind of system. I think that a system with people with more wealth and equality.
But do you know why the wealth would go back to the same people and the same people at the bottom would be poor? Why do you think it would?
Well, it wouldn't go back to the same thing or places because I don't think that we have an inherent equal starting point in the beginning.
But this is a starting point. What I'm saying to you is if we right now did a case
study, go to
study.
the same places because we have never even tested some sort of free market. We've never seen any sort of system akin to that. A genuine free market, not one that's distorted by capitalists, by business owners. Capitalists generally protect their own class. That's why people rise to the top. Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
know about that. I actually think it's a very competitive place to be.
No, there's not at all. People start at the very bottom. They have no shot to even.
Do you know why I make the claim of if all the money in the world were divided equally would return to the same pockets within 5
I'm
years?
assuming that you think that because people work harder or something like that. But I would argue the people that work the hardest are the people that make the least amount of money. The people that work the least, live on their yachts, are the ones that are owning all this company. They've never been inside the businesses that they own.
I don't know if I agree with that. I was just in Arkansas 3 days ago.
The richest people.
I was just in Arkansas a week ago, and I went to a city called Hot Springs, Arkansas. It was two friends from high school started a windows company. 250 employees.
Yeah.
The city loves them. They work their tails off.
I'm not really referring to small businesses.
But I'm talking about. But many big businesses started small. Walmart wasn't big day one. Walmart was small when it first got started.
Why are they still a monopoly? Because they exist off
They're
of...
not a monopoly. Amazon is taking a big share
they
away
own
from them.
Oligopoly, whatever. They own a large market share because their ability to use their money to lobby.
Do you know how many jobs they've created around the world? Walmart has.
I'm not even referring to
3 million
Walmart.
jobs worldwide.
The point being is capitalists distort the market so it's unfree. How could it be a free market
Okay,
if everybody in the market inherently wants to make it unfree because they want to rise to the top?
I'm watching
if
you.
Everybody has the incentive to maintain a free market, then that's something that...
So let me go back. The reason why I said if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. To me, it's because of market value, what value you bring to the place, your contacts, your relationship, how hard you're working, all of those combined. Habits that you have in place, habits that you have in place, and also habits at the bottom. The habits at the bottom are not long-term thinking, it's short-term. When I didn't have any money and I was broke $49,000, if I had $500 to my name, we're driving on the freeway to go to Vegas to party for the weekend and come back. If I had a penny to my name, I'm having a blast. Until 25 years old, I changed my habits financially. Then things changed. But this point here that we're talking about with the wealth...
Some people are so far off from that point, they're so far in debt that small decisions would not alter...
It's not true.
Yes, absolutely
it's not true.
You're just privileged and you've lived in a certain
You think
example.
I'm privileged.
I'm privileged. You're privileged.
I mean, here's the thing. Listen, on some level, Patrick Bet-David is coming from a good place in that it does actually kind of seem like he has this mentality that I think a lot of right-wingers have where if we can just show these kids the way, if we can just show them that things can be different, if we can just show them that they can make money and we just show them all the ways that capitalism can benefit them, then maybe they'll wise up and they'll stop being communists. So I do, in a perverse way, I think he's actually coming from a good place where he's kind of like, I had nothing and I changed my life and I picked myself up by my bootstraps and I made millions of dollars and if I can do it, anyone can do it. It has positive intention. What Patrick Bet-David doesn't realize is he's talking to a bunch of ideologues that have been indoctrinated into a cult since they were little kids, and they don't care about his anecdotes, and they don't have any relevance to him. They don't believe that they can do what he did, which is wrong. I mean, I firmly believe that if you want to start a business, go start a business. Go start several businesses. It's never been easier to start a business. It's never been easier to make money. It's never been easier to work for yourself. You can do so many things for free now. And even just to get the business up and running, start a side hustle, and all that stuff. Like I'm in that camp firmly, but it's like these kids don't want to hear it, and they're not coming to this debate in order to get help from the capitalist in order to make their lives better. And so again, I think it's like they're going like this.
a millionaire because of your hard work. That's amazing. That's
my
the only
mom
person.
ran out of money and went back to Iran. You're talking to a guy that would have done 20 years in the army. If one guy doesn't call me, if one guy would have called me
the army is the government funding you.
I understand that, and I joined the army because I had given up on life.
Social programs.
No, I had
absolutely.
I was not confident on what I could do, but I changed. So can you? Look at the way you're speaking to me.
You can change. You can work hard, but
do you know somebody like you? Do you know somebody like you that speaks this eloquently? If somebody gets a hold of you in real estate, insurance, finance, you can learn how to sell, and you can make some real good money. Somebody like you that I'm watching.
Not everybody's born with those abilities. You have to be,
brother.
Somebody who's white, tall, 6'4", whatever. They're
I'm
much
Middle
more
Eastern. I'm from Iran. Do you realize a lot of stuff that goes against me?
Okay, but many people have no choice to physically alter.
But that's an excuse language to be making. That's not a language.
If you never have the opportunity to compete because you're pre-designed.
I appreciate you being respectful. Truly, you need to know that. So I'll be respectful to everybody.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate you for being respectful. Right now, everybody that's here, me changing your mind, it's not a very high likelihood.
Sure.
Okay? The audience that's watching, 40% of them are going to agree with what you say, what you say, what you say, what you say, and they hate me. 40% of the audience is going to agree with me. 20% of the audience is in the middle saying, I don't know, man, what do you think I should do? Should I feel like a victim or should I not make excuses? Or what is that guy saying? Or should I do this? And should I sympathize? The 20% that's watching this, that has a fighting chance, I'm hoping they realize they can do something about their lives. We're not going to be able to solve 100% of people's problems, unfortunately.
I don't think people should keel over, but that doesn't mean most people have an equal competitive advantage to some.
I think everybody has a certain gift to offer.
Somebody like me is more privileged inherently.
I think everybody listening to her present, she could be a lawyer. Listening to her present, she's got fire in her belly. Everybody here's got a gift. Every single person here's got a gift. Whether they choose to use it in a way to help them advance in life, that's not my fault.
Not everybody
that's on
can
them.
afford to increase their market value.
You can.
No,
you actually
cannot.
can.
Everybody.
Well, we respectfully disagree.
I appreciate you.
Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Surrounded is currently casting passionate.
Go away.
Apple today. If you hate the.
Hang on. What is the claim?
This is not something that we should celebrate as promises of.
My final claim is the.
There it is. The U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today. If you hate the system, you're anti-so. Oh my God. Oh my God. Patrick Bet David. Why is the entire premise of this wrong? I'm asking my audience. I've got a whole rant that's working its way up in my head right now, but I'm just going to start off by asking my audience, why is the entire premise of this supposition completely incorrect? And it just shows that, again, Patrick Bet David does not understand communism and he does not understand leftist activists. You can still own private property in the United States. When communists say capitalism, they're talking about private property ownership, your ability to own a home, land, apartment rental, intellectual property, a small business or big business rather. Your parental rights are considered to be a form of private property. Your individual liberties are considered to be a form of private property. We still have private property ownership in the United States. Bourgeois private property ownership still exists in the United States. Therefore, we are not more socialist than capitalist because capitalism literally still exists and is the foundation of our system. Why else is this wrong and retarded? Communists believe that the entire premise of the United States is built off of capitalism. They believe the Constitution is a capitalist document designed to protect private property ownership. They believe the entire U.S. government is a capitalist machine designed to explicitly protect private property ownership. They believe the police are the managers of private property. They exist only to protect capitalism and private property ownership. They believe borders around the country, the reason they're attacking ICE facilities, the reason they're protesting deportations is because they believe national borders are a form of private property under capitalism and they shouldn't exist. They also believe state borders, city borders, county borders, and borders around your house are also examples of private property ownership or capitalism, and that's why they oppose all of them. Socialists and communists want to overthrow the U.S. government. They don't want to reform the U.S. government. They want to overthrow it. When Patrick Bet David was talking to that communist earlier, and Patrick Bet David was like, you voted for a Democrat, and the communist was like, the fuck I did. The communist was like, no, we don't vote. Like most communists communists don't even vote in elections. They don't believe in the electoral system. That would make them reformists. They're revolutionaries. They want to overthrow the U.S. government because the U.S. government, according to the left, is completely 100% grounded in capitalism. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. Yeah, we all know. Anyone who listens to the real far left, if we see an argument like this, the U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today, we're like, bro, can you flash a red light that you don't understand communism and what communists actually believe? We're going to clip this and we're all going to tag Patrick Bet-David in it. And and let's just see. Let's see if the capitalist who thinks he understands everything actually respond to this. Because I'm sorry, bro. If you're going to put yourself in a position of going and debating a room of communists, can you please just study up on what the communists actually believe about capitalism, starting with what their definition of capitalism actually is? If you're against these kids, if you were against these kids on this show, what would be your problems? Oh, God. I would definitely have something about controlling the food supply, that communism controls the food supply. Communism will lead to mass starvation because they control the food supply. I would have a prompt about communism not providing the amount of choices and options that we have today. I would have a prompt around no one owning homes and therefore never actually being able to control where they live. I would have a prompt around energy and communists deciding who gets access to energy, which means they decide who gets access to travel. I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but I would really, probably a prompt around the nuclear family. I would like the nuclear family being the social reproduction mechanism of capitalism. I'd probably have a prompt around the gender binary. What I would do is I would hone in on the main communist arguments, which are things like abolish the gender binary, abolish the nuclear family, controlling the food supply, controlling the energy supply, centralizing everything, abolishing and overthrowing the government. I would focus in on those and somehow kind of expose the agenda, but I'd have to think about it a little bit more, Trendlin. I do appreciate the super chat. Yeah, conservatives have convinced themselves that California is a socialist state when it is not. He cannot separate social programs from socialism. Yup. Let me see. Okay. Let's see the stupid argument that's about to ensue out of this. Like, why can't anyone ever just start with, how does the left define capitalism? People make fun of me because I harp on this so much. Like, Karlyn, you're obsessed with capitalism. That's because none of you assholes know how the left defines capitalism. If Patrick Bet-David knew how the left defined capitalism, he would know that this claim is fundamentally flawed at the core of, like, its inception. It has nothing to do with how the left defines capitalism. Anyway.
U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today. If you hate the system, you're anti-socialist.
Dumb argument.
Hello.
You're back at it again.
Oh, good.
Yep.
The other dumb one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think it's super important here for all leftists alike, but for the audience in general to define what these terms are. I think the best way to do it would be to look at the theorists, right? Over history, we've seen communism and socialism talked about by governments and by, I guess, programs, but we never actually read the actual theory. And what theorists...
No. You've listened to too much bullshit conservative media. Communists do not believe that capitalism is rich white men. Stop listening to conservative influencers who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's not what they believe.
All agree on is that socialism would be a transitionary state between capitalism and communism, where the means of production are specifically owned by workers, not privately. The idea that any country...
For some reason, StreamYard is not letting me take this chat off the stream, and I don't know why. Why isn't StreamYard letting me take this chat off the screen? Why is this happening? StreamYard is totally frozen with this, and the reason this is this is a moronic chat that has no basis in reality. So I need StreamYard to let me take the chat off the stream. Okay, there it goes. We caught up. No more stupid chat displayed on my screen.
Now is anywhere near socialist, let alone communist, would simply be ridiculous and just it wouldn't reflect theory whatsoever.
What is the definition of communism to you?
Stateless, moneyless, classless society.
And you prefer that?
Yeah.
Moneyless society. Moneyless society. You don't say.
So I think that we should be moving towards,
communism.
Yeah, stateless, moneyless classes society.
So you
When she says stateless, she means the capitalist state. They believe the United States government is the capitalist state. So when she says stateless, she's not saying there would be no governance model. She's saying get rid of the capitalist governance model that is the U.S. government.
don't think a person like me should exist with the amount of wealth that I have.
Yeah, because I think that we're getting to this point where we're creating fake scarcity for
She doesn't think money should exist. Did you not hear her? She doesn't think money should exist. So should you exist as a billionaire? No, because she doesn't think money should exist.
People like you to accumulate the wealth that you have on the basis of private ownership.
Okay, so you're not even
Private
not
ownership.
capitalist. You're definitely not capitalist. You're not socialist. You want to go full communism.
So what do you think
There's
that looks
no
like, though, as a
difference.
thing, right? So what Marx actually wanted was for us to reach a point where we no longer have the scarcity of resources that has kind of predicted, history as it looks like now. It wouldn't happen now.
Right.
It would happen as we
Right.
automate. At this point in time, we can decommodify housing and food and education for around 5% of the government budget. That's 1/5, a little bit over 1/5 of what we spend on the military already. We don't, because we were living in the state where it almost seems utopian that things
How
like food
old were
and
you the
shelter
first
can
time
be
you
free.
thought you wanted to be a communist? How old were you the
Is
first
that
time?
is that a response
I'm
to
actually
any
really
of the
curious.
statistics?
No, because the
She was probably raised by communists.
statistics are against you.
The statistics-
It's never worked.
I
It's
wanna-
there's so many Cubans that moved to Miami. They
The
love their
statistic that
country. They hate the
5%
politics. In Russia, they
Do you
even
know how
run
much-
away from
do you know how much
communism
money-
because it didn't work. It killed so
Because
many
that
people.
almost like it wasn't
It's
communist.
almost
Was there a state?
amateurish
Yes,
to
there
debate
was. Was
a
there class?
communistic
Yes, there
argument.
was.
It's
They don't believe real communism has ever been tried for the reasons I've already stated several times. But number one, Russia was not a globalist endeavor. Therefore, communism was doomed to fail. Number two, it didn't go through the full industrialization stage. Therefore, real communism didn't exist.
It's almost like you're not replying to any of the statistics that I've presented to you. I think that's the biggest problem.
You're a dictator telling me what
Dictators
dreams
would not
should
be allowed under communism.
Dictators end up, of course, running communism.
they weren't.
If somebody's taxing 100%, what is a dictatorship?
So again, how much money do you think? How much money?
No one is taxing 100%. Money does not exist in communism. No one is paying 100% taxes under communism. You're not. You have no money, bro.
What is communism?
How
then?
much money
That's
do you
dictatorship.
think? How much money do you think would it take to, I don't know, allow everyone food, shelter, water, and education in this country?
How much money would it take?
Yeah.
But going back to your question here with communism, stay on that point there with
Nothing
communism.
I say is responded
but
to.
I'm trying to find out from you here. You're saying communism is not dictatorship.
No.
Define dictatorship.
Yeah, so when one person or one small entity,
Right.
is able to, enforce its will on the people. When we have a
Beautiful.
private ownership,
Yep.
when we have a system based on private ownership, that's what happens every single time.
She's saying capitalism is private property ownership over and over again. Every time she says private ownership, she's referring to capitalism.
Yeah, so we see
dictatorship as private ownership.
Yeah, so private-
So let me get this
private
straight. Under
ownership.
communism, under communism, doesn't Elon Musk exist?
Yeah.
No! Oh my God! Why can't these people ever study Has Patrick Bet-David ever read the Communist Manifesto? This is like James fucking Lindsay level of ignorance. No, Elon Musk does not exist in communism because there is no private property ownership under communism. Private property ownership is defined by them as bourgeois property ownership, which means your ability to own a home, your ability to own land, your ability to own apartment rental, you rent as a landlord, your ability to own intellectual property, your ability to own any private business, whether that private business is big or small, and your parental rights over your children are considered to be a form of private property ownership because it allows for the passing of private property from parent to child in terms of generational inheritance and wealth, which leads to all of the property being privatized, thus not available to the public. This is all basic 101 level stuff around communism. I don't know why these fucking influencers think that they can go in and debate a room full of communists without ever reading their basic materials.
No, so that's dictatorship. Thank you.
That's completely incorrect. Under capitalism, we don't have, the freedom for people to.
Do. You do.
Okay,
of
so
course you do.
under capitalism, right? We
Under
don't see that
under
the
communism,
commodification.
Would you consider China
We don't see
communism
the
right now?
commodification
Would you consider
of
China
food,
communism
shelter,
right now?
or water,
They do
or
not
education
consider China
when we can
communism.
with 5%
No.
of the budget. Why don't we see that?
Would you consider China communist?
Why haven't you answered any of my questions?
Would you consider
Why
China?
haven't you responded to any of my statistics?
Would you consider China communist?
It's almost like we're not having a conversation and you're
we
talking
are having a
at me and not
conversation,
with
but
me.
you have an argument that's been proven that it's not working.
It's almost
What about this woman coming up and saying, I want a moneyless society? She's absolutely right. Patrick Bet-David hasn't listened to a word she said. She came up and sat in the chair and he said, what do you believe communism is? And she said a stateless, moneyless society. What about no money is he not getting? The reason he hasn't got it is because he didn't fucking listen.
It's like I just
Everybody
gave you
is
a definition of
moving
communism
away
for you
from
to
it.
critique, and you haven't been able to.
If it's such a
She's
great
right.
system,
Sorry.
why are other
It hasn't
nations
happened
not?
yet because we've never been at a point for it to happen.
Because we've not found a noble person that can do it the right way. That's not a
No, because it's never been tried on a global scale, and it's never been tried to a country that went through the complete industrialization through capitalism.
If we were to read the plain text of Marx, we would see that he wanted
I've
us
read
to
Communist Manifesto. I've
No,
gone
I
through it.
promise you, if you
Bullshit.
have, you would.
Bullshit. There is no universe in which Patrick Bet-David has read the Communist Manifesto, and this is his argument. There is no universe in which Patrick Bet-David has read the Communist Manifesto, and he does not understand that the definition of capitalism is the abolition of private property. There is no universe in which Patrick Bet-David has read the Communist Manifesto, and he doesn't understand what the definition of bourgeois property is. There is no universe in which Patrick Bet-David has read the Communist Manifesto, and he doesn't understand communists want a moneyless society. There is no universe in which he has read this document. I've read the Communist Manifesto. Bullshit, bro. You didn't even read the Cliff Notes version.
Point for it to happen.
Because we've not found a noble person that can do it the right way. That's not a dictator.
If you were to read the plain text of Marx, we would see that he wanted us to reach.
I've read Communist Manifesto. I've gone through it.
I promise you, if you have, you wouldn't have said that capitalism today is socialist.
Have you read Wealth of Nations?
Yeah, so I've read Das Kapital. I've read the Communist Manifesto as well, Engels' Collective Works, etc. What do you think, if you think that communism is in any way us having wages or us having, a privatized means of production, you don't know what it is.
You choose my dreams, and I refuse to do that.
Who are you arguing with?
Dictate my
Where
dreams.
did you get that from?
What do you mean?
Well, that was interesting.
She was right in what she said. I'm sorry, she won. He was wrong.
Let's go. Justin, nice to meet you.
Justin, good to meet you.
How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. So I need to pick your brain a little bit. You're saying U.S. is largely socialist. I want to focus on the word largely. So why do you believe it is largely socialist?
Because 68% or so of the money that we take in goes towards entitlement programs.
So I think one of the things that is going to be major to me, it's like Zena was touching on earlier, is going to be the fact that socialism is a big part of it is going to be workers owning the means of productions. When we have President Biden, for example, telling that the railroad strikers, it's going to be illegal for them to strike, I don't see that as much of a workplace democracy.
Did you have a question, or you're just saying the fact that you don't agree with President Biden and what he said?
I'm just saying a core tenet of socialism is the workers owning the means of production. The workers currently do not own the means of production. So why do you believe it is largely socialist?
So you're saying the workers should own the means of production?
That is correct.
Okay, so to you, that's the definition of socialism.
That is a core tenet of it.
What else would you define as socialism? I'm curious.
There's a lot of different things. It's like Zena was touching on as well. Moneyless, stateless classes society. But I think more important than not, workers owning the means of production and workplace democracy.
Or are you more socialist?
They're the same term, man. Marx used them interchangeably.
The only difference I would put is because where I see in America, I think we are extremely getting close to being a socialistic nation with the amount of taxes that we have in place right now.
That's great.
But at least under communism, I can't survive. I would prefer us staying at the 10% tax rate. I think we're paying way too much taxes.
Why would you not be able to survive?
I wouldn't be able to pursue my dreams that I have in place under communism. My mother's family.
Average person says, this is just going to prove that socialists are correct in their endeavors. I mean, listen, again, like I said this earlier, Patrick Bet-David isn't convincing a single communist to not be a communist in this debate because he doesn't understand their arguments. And so socialists and communists and leftists are going to watch this debate and they're going to go, Patrick Bet-David is like the embodiment of everything these people hate, and he's not listening to them, and he's talking over to them, and he's talking down to them, and it's kind of like, listen, I'll talk down to communists, but I understand the arguments communists are making, so if I'm talking down to a communist, it's going to be with an accurate interpretation of the argument that they're actually making, and Patrick Bet-David doesn't even know kind of like basic information.
family, they were part of the Two-Day Party. The Two-Day Party in Iran was a communist party. They had escaped Armenia and Russia and came down to Iran, and they pursued communism. I grew up in a family where everything was about the rich are greedy, the rich people are bad, the rich people are this, and the rich people are that. My dad's side, they were imperialist. My dad's side, they said poor people are lazy. So one side, rich people are greedy. The other side, poor people are lazy. Who's right?
I would say that neither are right, of course.
I would say both are right and wrong, is what I would say.
Both are right.
And wrong. Both are right and wrong. Because I do believe there are extreme...
Yes. 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 Do we really have to understand communism? Yes. Because when you idiots don't understand what you're talking about, you make more leftists. When you idiots don't understand what you're talking about, you run cover for real communists. When you idiots run around going, Democrats are communists and Democrats are communists voted for Kamala Harris, you are actually running cover for the real far left, and they're all laughing at you. Do you understand that real communists and socialists in their trainings and their events, they laugh at you. They talk about how much conservatives don't know about what they believe, how stupid and ignorant conservatives are. And you guys are running around thinking that because Kamala Harris didn't get elected president, you defeated communism. And then you're high-fiving each other and you're going, woke is dead, woke is dead, we did it, DEI is dead, Donald Trump is president, we beat communism, because you're a bunch of fucking retards that don't actually know what you're fighting. And then the left keeps winning, and you guys keep losing, and you keep wondering why. And then all of a sudden, 40% of the kids in school think they're gender non-binary because communists were winning the entire time, and they were taking over the public schools, and they were taking over the libraries, and they were taking over everything else. But you're high-fiving each other because you own them on the internet with a meme, bro. Do you want to know why? Oh, I'm emotional? Oh, I'm emotional? You're a retard, and you just got banned on my channel. You're not smart enough to be here. Get the fuck out. You tell conservative retards, maybe you want to study the enemy you claim to be fighting, and they go, why are you so triggered and emotional? And then they lose over and over and over and over and over, but you know how they respond to it? They make more memes on Twitter. Oh my God, the memes that come on Twitter every single time conservatives lose to the left and have feelings about it, but I'm the one that's emotional when I'm saying maybe you retards want to put down the fucking memes and actually learn about the enemy you claim to have, and they go, why would we want to learn about the enemy? That would mean we would actually have to do something and get off our lazy fucking asses. Patrick Bet-David wants to make the argument that communists are lazy. No. Conservatives are way lazier than communists every day of the week. God damn. Renan, well, thanks to you, I'll be able to skinwalk as a commie in the utopia. I can survive. Don't know about Patrick Bet-David. Yeah, we're all going to be prepared when the communists win, and people like Patrick Bet-David aren't going to see it coming at all, and he's going to get all his stuff taken away, and they're probably going to string him up or something like that to make an example of him and all this stuff. And I don't, like, listen, I'm not pro-communist, just so, like, I am completely anti-communist, but it's just like when you see conservatives and right-leaning people just fail over and over and over and over and over again, it's like at some point you go, you gotta go, listen, the communists are playing to win, the conservatives are dicking around and memeing on Twitter. Karlyn, don't take this the wrong way. You know a lot about this subject, and we learn a lot from you. I don't even know who you are, bro. But you make a lot of positive claims, and maybe you should tell us why their ideas are wrong. Are you a fucking retard? Have you ever listened to my content in your life? How many times have you chatted it on my channel? Let's see. How many times have you chatted in on my channel? Thank you, Victor. My husband just brought me up some water because I'm yelling on the internet. Let's see. How many times have you chatted in on my channel? This is your second live stream, and you've never actually chatted in on my channel on any of my educational streams. So you know what I'm gonna recommend to you, bro? How about you do a basic level of research before you tell me what to do? How about you do a very basic level of research? How about you go to my Substack, which is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. You click on the How to Speak Socialist section. You can take the 2 free classes that I've been, no. You're going to shut the fuck up now and you're going to listen. because you haven't availed yourself of any of the content I've made, doing exactly what you said I should do. I don't take kindly when people are brand new to my channel and don't do a basic level of research and then dare to tell me how to run my fucking streams. Why aren't you doing... You know what? Go figure it out on your own. I'm not even going to talk to you anymore. You interrupt my stream again and you tell me what to do again and I'm going to ban you. And if you don't want that to happen, do a basic level of research before you try to tell me what to do. Karlyn, you're so mean. I don't give a fuck. This is not an inclusive community. This is... Oh, ban you? Bye! 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 You're banned. Bye. This is not an inclusive community. This is an exclusive community. This is not a safe space for someone who wants to have their feelings coddled. This is a community for people who actually care about understanding the left, actually care about defeating the left, actually care about doing deep dive research into the left. This is not a community where you can shitpost in my chat and act like an unhinged retard without there being consequences. So yes, asshole, I will ban you. Go away.
Greedy rich people. And I do believe there are extremely lazy poor people. But I also believe there's a lot of hardworking poor people that are working, but they haven't found a way to get out of it. I agree with that as well.
So that's actually a major point right there. They're not able to get out of it.
You can get out of it. You could actually get out of it.
But you just said they're not able to.
No, because they're choosing not to develop. I just made an offer for a book recommendation here, so I'm not interested. If I sit there and somebody's giving you feedback and saying, what about if you think about finding ways to improve your life?
Offer me that book then. I'll check it out.
You would read the book?
Sure, why not?
I'll give you a handful of them.
We'll talk about this
I'll
after
give it to you afterwards.
Yeah,
But
of course.
the point I'm trying to make to you is, if you can exist under a capitalistic society, and I can exist under a capitalistic society, so can she. But
okay, we can both exist under a socialistic society.
Not under communistic, and under socialism, the incentive would be bad. Think about it this way.
Incentive is high under socialism as well, but that's not what we're doing.
During COVID, take the two states, California and New York. They lost $1 trillion of wealth that left. Do you know where they went to?
Where did they go
went to Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee. You know why? Because it's a better climate for entrepreneurs. Today, if you look at New York City, you know Mamdani.
That's just how the market works.
You know who Mamdani is.
I understand how
you know who Mamdani is. Are you a fan of Mamdani?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, from New York. Zoran's up there saying he doesn't believe billionaires should exist.
Correct.
They don't believe money should exist.
I hope he wins. You know why? Because he says, I don't believe billionaires should exist. And he's going to be the mayor of a city that has the most billionaires in America, 123. I hope he wins so we can see what happens to New York when the billionaires leave. When they leave, here's who's going to pay the price. The people that are left behind, who were taking advantage of the taxes that billionaires were paying. You think the government's going to change their budget and expenditure?
When there's a $30 minimum wage, I can't imagine that
Middle America's going to take the big...
For people who might be new and finding this content for the first time, you have to understand that in my community, we literally spend hours every single week listening to real communists and real socialists. And I cannot tell you, for people who come to my streams on a regular basis and support this type of thing, it's like, I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to watch conservative influencers not know what the ever-loving F they're talking about and try to talk about communism. And it's like this whole video is just like the manifestation of this, because we're seeing over and over and over again, all of these young kids are getting up and saying one thing. Patrick Bet-David isn't listening to what they're saying. He's not able to interact with their points at all because he doesn't understand how they define words. And so Patrick Bet-David is saying one thing, the communists are saying a completely different thing, and Patrick Bet-David isn't actually hearing the points that they're making at all, and so the points he's making in response to them are completely irrelevant. And it's just like, this is why the left wins. They are way more motivated than the right. They're way more they're working way more hard. They're working harder than the right. They're more organized, and it's like the right has no fucking clue what's going on, but they think they know everything. Once again, the conservative strategy is to know nothing and do nothing. People who listen to the real far left are screaming at Patrick Bet-David to wake the fuck up.
Biggest hit if billionaires leave the state of New York. You'll see. Oh, you're back.
Hello
How
again.
are you? Good to see you.
Learn a bit more.
Okay.
Firstly, I want to start by saying that the U.S. is not largely socialist, because that's not what socialism is. Socialism is social or collective ownership by the workers or a community of the means of production, right? So we're talking about like city-run grocery stores, or we're talking about worker cooperatives, or even in some cases credit unions, where a local community owns the bank that they take part in, right? That's what socialism is. Socialism is not when the government does stuff for you. It's not when they build roads. That happens under capitalist economies. It happens under socialist economies. But I'm also not sure you entirely know what capitalism is. And if it's okay, I'd like to ask a couple questions about your job.
Sure.
Because you're offering that. I know that you're Valuetainment, right? You run a YouTube podcast. You also run PHP Agency, right?
Yep.
Yes. And you sell life insurance policies, right?
Life insurance and annuities.
Yes. I read an article by the Daily Beast which argued that you make more money from recruitment fees to get people to work for you than you make money from selling those policies. Capitalism is when you provide a service and sell the labor of yourself or the person who works for you in return for money. But you're not really doing that, right? You're selling being part of the company through recruitment fees. I'm not sure that's capitalism.
How familiar are you with the insurance industry?
Pretty familiar.
Are you?
Yes.
You've been in the industry before?
No, my grandfather was. And I asked him a lot of questions.
So in the insurance industry, when you're in it,
yes,
you get paid by selling life insurance policies, and you get paid by selling annuities.
Yes.
We built a distribution channel of a company right after I left Morgan Stanley and Transamerica. We started the insurance company. We grew it, helping middle-income families who didn't have another opportunity to create wealth for themselves. I just came back from our event in Vegas.
Hold on, I'm not sure that's correct, though.
It is, though.
It's not correct, though, because what do you make more money
I just came back from. We don't make more money from recruiting.
I read the Daily Beast article that did that. I also watched CoffeeZilla's debate with you, where they pulled up receipts that the majority of the employees of your company don't make any money.
Here's a question for you. For you. Bring up CoffeeZilla.
Yeah.
Daily Beast is a different story. Go to CoffeeZilla.
Sure, of course.
Do you think if I was worried about my business model, I would go on CoffeeZilla? What do you think? Do you
I think that it's not really capitalist.
Hang on a second. Do you think if I was worried about my business model, I would go on CoffeeZilla? They were actually very strong when they came back after me. We had a 2-hour conversation.
Yes.
We finished it. It was good to go. We moved on. Their claims that only 1% or 2% make and nobody makes it in insurance, they're right. Most people don't make it in insurance. Just like most people who move to California don't make it in Hollywood.
So I believe
and
the
most people
technical
don't make it in
term
real
for when you
estate.
make more money from getting people to be part of a company than from actually selling a service is called a multi-level marketing scheme. Do you think that that's a fair characterization of your company? Why not?
Do you know what multi-level is?
Yes, I know. It's where you make more money from, it's sort of like a pyramid scheme, wherein you make more money from getting people to be part of it and selling them to be part of the company.
A pyramid scheme doesn't have a product. That's criminal. A multi-level marketing company is more like an Amway, an Herbalife, a New Skin, those companies.
But
because it pays you.
You are making more money from getting people to be part of your company than you are from making money from actually providing a service.
That's not true. It's a claim by Daily Beast. By the way, do you know what equality of earnings is?
Yes.
What's equality of earnings? Tell everybody what equality of earnings is. Go ahead.
Fair point. The quality of earnings isn't that like the value that's produced from when you make the money? Like how much from the labor that's produced, or am I wrong?
What is quality of earnings?
I gave you what I think the definition is.
Okay. So quality of earnings is I sit there and I want to sell the business to you.
Yeah.
You make an offer of $250 million. Okay? I tell you, this is my business. Here's how much profit we make. You leave and you say, great, let's make a deal. I'll pay you $250 million. We shake on it. Then you validate whether it is worth that or not by going and paying a big company a few $100,000 to check the quality.
So same deal as like having someone look at the quality of the gold that you're going to buy.
PwC came and they do a quality of earnings to say, is this company really worth this?
No one
They
cares.
get to make a decision whether the company is truly doing what you or Daily Beast claims to do.
The
And
value
what
comes from your brand. It comes from going on podcasts like that.
Hang on. Breaking news. Owen Schroyer quit InfoWars? What happened? Why did Owen Schroyer quit InfoWars? Wow. Can someone go and investigate what the fuck happened?
even when they exposed the business model, because you're not selling.
Do you know what ended up happening? Don't make claims you
Do you
don't
know what
about.
you're selling?
Do you know what ended up
You
happening?
know what you're selling,
Do
right?
you know what ended up
Do you
happening?
know what you're selling?
The company
You're selling
ended
your
up
personal
buying,
brand. You're selling the idea,
No,
because when you're offering
you're-
people here jobs, right?
Right.
You're saying that they would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your
claims
company.
of defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the facts.
You have a recruitment
be very
fee.
Careful. No. Be very
You do
careful
have a
claiming.
recruitment fee.
Be very
That's all.
careful making that claim when you said people here have to pay to work at our company.
It's a recruitment
Be very
fee.
careful. No,
Right?
those are two different things.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Tatiana.
Tatiana?
Yeah,
Good to meet
Anya. But yes. And your name's Patrick, right?
It is.
And I don't know a lot about you before coming
That's
in
even better.
today. But why do you use socialism and capitalism like in this instance? I've noticed a lot of people have defined the vast differences, but you're insisting that we're still like a more socialist like country. Why are you insisting
So
upon
that's
that?
a fair question. So for me,
So someone is saying, so Owen Schroyer, sorry, we'll go back to this in a second, but like Owen Schroyer apparently, like, he's streaming on X right now explaining why he quit. So I'm not going to go and watch his whole live stream right now. But that idiot Sean Farish is posting saying apparently Owen walked off the set or something, and now he's claiming he's a victim, which Sean Farish is a moron. So I don't believe his interpretation of it, but apparently there was some sort of drama at InfoWars. I don't think it's just because InfoWars is getting sold off. I think something actually happened. Anyway.
there's different definitions you can have. Under communism, to me, it's 100% taxes, meaning I can't go create my own.
No. Patrick Bet David, that is one of your first fucking problems. This happens all the time when I say to people on the right, I'm like, how do you think the left defines capitalism? And people on the right go, you know, there are a lot of definitions of capitalism. No. The left has one definition of capitalism and one definition only. And whatever definition Patrick Bet David has of capitalism, because he seems to think that socialism means high taxes, like, it doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter if you disagree with the left's definition of capitalism. It does not matter if you disagree with the left's definition of communism or socialism. They are the ones dictating what the definition is. And you coming in and you going, excuse me, socialist, do you know that you have the wrong definition of capitalism? Do you really think that's going to change their mind? No.
Differences, but you're insisting that we're still like a more socialist like country. Why are you insisting
So
upon
that's
that?
a fair question. So for me, there's different definitions you can have. Under communism, to me, it's 100% taxes, meaning I can't go create my own property. If I want to build a billion-dollar company, I can't do it under communism. Is that a fair assessment?
There's no money under communism.
Yes, I guess it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So capitalism, I would ideally like to see taxes between 10 to 30% max. I'd like a flat tax, but somewhere between 10 to 30%, because I still do think there's certain things that the government needs to do. Military protection, certain things. Socialism to me is 30% and up. Anything above that you're taking the money away from me without my...
So Patrick Bet David is inventing a definition of socialism. See, this is the problem with this whole thing. Patrick Bet David's like, I don't care what the Communist Manifesto says. I, Patrick Bet David, am going to define socialism as anything where I pay more than 30% taxes. Bro, there's no money in the communist utopia, you fucking moron.
choice to use it for things where we get to 68% of entitlement programs. I'm not a fan of that.
Okay, so let's talk about where we're at. I believe you said reasonable wage and minimum wage. What about a livable wage? And we haven't really talked about livable wages because they
What do you
differ.
think about minimum wage? So what do you think?
So, Mac B, what movie are you playing tonight for movie night? Can you remind me in the chat? I would appreciate it.
I think we have a long way to go.
Okay.
I'm not really a big fan of these little increment things, especially when it's not like rent. It's, stopping and leveling out. It's like, far exceeding what most people
I don't disagree, for sure. Yep.
And so I'm just wondering how you still can sit here and say that when I know you like to talk about you came up from Haagen-Dazs and all this other stuff.
In Glendale
And-
Galleria, 20
okay,
minutes away
great.
from here.
Love that for you. But we're talking about where you are today and where I am, a majority of these people in the
Sure,
room.
sure.
And I haven't
I believe
really
you can
heard.
change.
Yes, we can
Okay.
change, but I think that there's certain systems.
Are you
in
talking
place.
minimum wage? You want to address the
we
minimum
can
wage
talk
topic?
minimum wage, but I like to say livable wage
Okay.
because I think they're
What do you
two very
think it
different
should
things.
be? What do you think it should be?
I think that we should go per state because every state is different in
Give me a
terms of what
number.
they can
Where do you
have.
live? You live in
I
California?
live in California.
What do you think
so
it should be?
Based
Minimum
on the
wage.
MIT living wage calculator, it's an actual livable wage calculator. It's $27.81 should be the starting, and then if you have kids and so forth, then you can like go up from there.
Okay.
But starting at about $27
So why don't-
hourly.
So what? Let's look at case studies of what happened.
Patrick Bet David reminds you of the gorilla bouncer from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah, real Drew. Thank you for that.
California chose to increase the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour, restaurant workers. Do you know what happened in the state of
Diamonds
California?
are forever
Mass
tonight? Okay,
exodus.
thank you.
People left and went different places. You know what restaurant owners did? Like, I can't compete with these guys if you raise the minimum wage. But the challenge with minimum wage is also the following. So say there's two companies. You have Walmart, okay, in Bakersfield, pick a city, and you have a different supermarket that's been in the same family for 60 years. The governor here says we're going to raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Who do you think can afford it? The market that's been within a family, the small business, or you think Walmart? Who do you think can afford to go to $20 an hour minimum wage?
So that's why I think we have to factor in other systems other than capitalism. I think you're kind of making the point that's been made a few times today, where we can't just look at one
This hasn't been made. No, this hasn't made. The point I'm making here is, anytime a Bernie Sanders gets up and says, let's raise the minimum
Bernie
wage
Sanders
for $15, and he would.
Real communists do not consider Bernie Sanders to be a communist. They consider him to be a traitor to the cause because Bernie Sanders capitulated to capitalism.
Was caught in his campaign not paying his own workers $15, $13 an hour.
They
And
don't
he had
think
to
he's a
talk
real
about it and
communist.
apologize that even a guy that's a socialist wasn't paying a minimum wage. But if you raise it to $15, Amazon celebrates.
Okay.
Walmart celebrates. Do you know why? Because the employers from this supermarket that have been working for this family for the longest time, they can't afford to pay that. So they leave and go to Amazon and Walmart. What happens? The bigger companies keep getting bigger. The small businesses go out of business because of minimum wage.
Okay, so you mentioned Bernie Sanders. I didn't mention him. Cool for Bernie Sanders. Whatever. Do you pay a livable wage or a minimum wage for your employees?
There's not a single soul in our company that I pay $15 an hour or $20 an hour.
Okay, so are you paying them livable wages though?
Absolutely. Of
Okay,
course we
based
are.
on your standards
because
or
of
based
my
on like the
choice.
stats?
Because of my choice.
So you're
Because
determining what people's livable wages are?
Well, no, I look at the marketplace and I see what's going on and I get to pick and choose what percentile of people I want to hire. Do I want to hire bottom 10%, 25%, 50%? I'll pay a little bit more because I want to get somebody that's got a little bit more experience.
Okay. Okay.
Tanya?
Titania.
Titania? Thank you.
Hi again, Patrick.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Can you remind me again why you think this country is largely socialist?
Out of the $4.9 trillion of revenue that we get in, 4.9, 68% goes to entitlement programs.
That's not
That's the reason why I say America's socialism.
Bro!
Do you think that we should have a say in where our taxpayer dollars go?
That's why we have elections.
Okay.
And you vote for it. Yeah.
So you agree that we should have a say in where our taxpayer dollars go?
If you're asking me who should have a right to vote, I would change the system in a major way of who would have the right to
I'm
vote.
not asking you if people
You're
should-
asking me a question
I'm not
and I'm
asking you
giving
who
you-
should have the right to vote.
Right.
I'm asking you, do you think that
The
our
current system
taxpayer dollars should be
allows-
dictated by us?
The
where that
current
goes?
election allows you to vote and decide who you want to be your candidate.
Absolutely. Okay. So I would argue that the biggest handouts go to billionaires because we give billions and billions of dollars in subsidies to billionaires every single year. Elon Musk just got a huge raise. Not sure why. He's worth over like hundreds of billions of dollars.
You're talking, be specific. You're talking about SpaceX?
I'm talking
the
about
subsidies,
SpaceX,
you're
Tesla.
talking
I'm
SpaceX?
talking about the companies
Okay.
that we fund as taxpayers. So why did we never vote for that?
Why did you never vote for the money going to some of these
Do you
companies?
see an issue with the fact that we as
Well,
taxpayers didn't have a
if
say
you're-
in,
if-
first of all, electing this tech oligarch?
Once you elect somebody,
deciding where our taxpayer dollars go.
Once you elect who you elect, what they do next, you don't have a say during that time.
We didn't elect
until
him.
the next election. No, I'm talking Congress, Senate. They make a decision on who they give the money to, and they approve.
But he's been getting this amount of subsidies through every administration. I'm not just referring to the Trump administration.
Let's talk about how he's done, okay? So the NASA was shut down many years ago, okay? Since then, how has NASA done? Trying to find a way to go to space. What has SpaceX done? SpaceX
What
has been
NASA
able
done?
to do
What has
to
NASA
go to
done?
space
NASA gave us the
1/20th
satellite,
of a
which
cost.
you use every time you
1/20th
use
of
your
a
phone.
cost. If you let me finish, NASA versus SpaceX. Elon Musk, as much as you hate him, Elon Musk was able to go to space for 1/20th of a cost because government organizations
Elon Musk has the
don't
ability
manage
to
finances
eradicate extreme
accordingly.
poverty in this country, and he chooses to send rockets into space and make extremely ugly cars that we never actually funded.
Believe it or
So I
not,
would
most
argue-
liberals drive his cars, so
Well, I would say the Cybertrucks. It's a poor decision aesthetically.
the
but
Cybertruck.
I'm not
is a poor
discussing the
decision.
aesthetics of his products.
It's so funny because when you say what you say about the Democratic side on the climate change side, the guy that's worked towards that the most, you guys loved him till he supported Trump. Elon was your favorite 8 years ago until he supported Trump. The moment he went into Trump, this guy's a horrible guy. This guy's a terrible guy.
To be fair, I've hated Elon Musk consistently throughout my adult life. And I also think that he is someone who has benefited immensely from the government. That's why I find hypocrisy in what you're saying.
I don't
I also
disagree
think
on that side.
He's benefited immensely from the exploitation of labor overseas. He's benefited immensely from his extremely aggressive union tactics, union busting tactics. So I'm saying, like, why
Is he a
are
net
we...
positive to you for society?
Is he a net positive for me personally?
Is he a net positive for society, not for you?
I wouldn't say so.
You
no.
don't think he is?
No, I wouldn't
Who
say so.
to you is a net positive to society? Bernie Sanders?
I mean, Bernie Sanders is, I would say he's a compromise candidate, but I would say that...
He's a compromise candidate.
Yes, I would say he's a compromise
AOC a net positive to society?
I would say net positive, yes.
More than Musk is?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Tell me
Yeah.
why.
Because AOC wants to introduce a Green New Deal, and I think that the New Deal is the
For
closest
$30
thing...
trillion?
Okay, Trump literally just added $3.4 trillion to
It's
our
a big
deficit,
difference
so I really don't want to
between
hear...
30 trillion and
Okay, so I'm
3
saying,
trillion.
I'm saying that I think that, you know, when we look at the system that we currently have, I think that we need to redistribute the wealth in a significant way, and we need to reintroduce something like the New Deal.
Why
And I
don't
think
you-
AOC has been the closest to doing that. I'm not
Why
saying I'm the
don't
biggest fan of
you-
her, but I'm saying that we need a marginal tax rate
Right.
that is something similar to the New Deal, 70 to 90%. Ideally, I would go for a wealth tax. Anyone over $999 million has to pay every year. But I'm saying that
Say that one more time. You would do what? Anybody that
I
makes
would
over...
I would introduce a wealth tax. So
Okay.
I'd say that anyone who makes over $999 million needs to pay. So I think that no one should be a billionaire. I think that we should put the cap.
No one should be a billionaire.
Absolutely not. Do you think that people can survive on $999 million?
This isn't how life works.
Do you think someone could
This is
survive on
a-
999 million? I'm asking you, do you
utopia.
think someone would be
You don't get
okay?
to dictate
Do you think
how
someone's
a
life would be
person
impaired if they had
drives and
only
builds.
$999 million
You don't get
instead
to
of $1 billion?
dictate that.
You're not answering the question.
Fortunately,
Answer
these
my
companies
question.
that continue to grow
Why are you avoiding my
created
question?
jobs for others.
Do you think someone
And
could
you in
reasonably
America
survive on
don't get to
$999
dictate
million?
How big a person wants to build their business. That's not
Why
true.
do you-
By the way,
why
why
do you
don't
think
you
we-
elect someone that pursues those policies? Bernie was your hero for many years. He became compromised.
I never said he was my hero.
But how did Bernie become compromised?
What did he just say? Like, what did I say earlier? Communists and socialists do not stand Bernie Sanders. They may have liked him at one time. They may see him as like a lesser of two evils thing between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. But communists and socialists believe that Bernie Sanders is a betrayer of communism and socialism because he capitulated to the capitalists. He's now a millionaire. He owns multiple properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Communists and socialists actively talk about how he's a traitor. So what did Patrick Bet-David just say? Bernie Sanders is your hero. And the communist is like, no, he's fucking not. This is exactly the same thing when Patrick Bet-David said to the communist earlier, you voted for Kamala Harris. And she was like, the fuck I did.
Think someone would be
You don't get
okay.
to dictate
Do you think
how
someone's
a
life would be
person
impaired if they
drives
had
and
only
builds.
$999
You
million
don't get
instead
to
of $1 billion?
dictate that.
You're not answering the question.
Fortunately,
Answer
these
my
companies
question.
that continue to grow
Why are you avoiding my
created
question?
jobs for others.
Do you think someone
And
could
you in
reasonably
America
survive on
don't get to
$999
dictate
million?
How big a person wants to build their business. That's not
Why
true.
do you-
By the way,
why
why
do you
don't
think
you
we-
elect someone that pursues those policies?
don't believe in
Bernie was your
elections.
hero for many years. He became compromised.
I never said he was my hero.
But how did Bernie become compromised?
I said that
You said
is
he's a compromised
I said he's
candidate.
a compromised
Why
candidate.
is he a compromised candidate?
I mean, he was
Bernie is a compromised candidate. Duh.
Definitely compromised by the Democratic Party, who didn't want him elected.
What happened?
I'm saying he's a compromised candidate in that I would go further than him, but I also know that he's probably the best we have right now, and I would like to see him as president, ideally, or someone similar. I think Zohran Mamdani, who you mentioned earlier, I think...
Well, remember, she's a reformist, though. She's a Democratic Socialist of America, so she's not a revolutionary socialist. She's not as hardcore as them, but still... Even with her being a Democratic Socialist of America, she still doesn't think that Bernie Sanders is a great candidate. She still doesn't think he's like a hero to worship.
I can't wait for him to win. You know why I can't wait for him to win? Because I can't wait for the data that comes out after he wins.
Yeah,
I can't wait to show you all the numbers the next 4 years after he wins.
If rich people have to flee New York because of his policies, that means that they're too economically fragile to handle those taxes. No, because if you don't appreciate people that create jobs, they will go somewhere that they're appreciated. We have to look past job creation.
They pay high-paid jobs.
Many of the jobs.
If you bring value to the market.
The reality is that Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, they have huge monopolies over our market, and they're able to pay as little in wages as they'd like.
That has a monopoly. I think the only company that has a monopoly. They quite literally control the wages and the costs in our economy. Right.
When Amazon has 60% control over e-commerce, they can quite literally decide what wages and what costs people can earn and pay.
Your candidate AOC.
I never said she was my candidate.
She's a net positive to society.
False endorsements on my
You said AOC is a net positive to society more than Elon Musk.
Absolutely,
perfect.
Yes.
When AOC was in New York, Amazon wanted to bring 25,000 jobs to New York. These were jobs that were paying $150 a year.
Because from what I understand, the people who work for Amazon have to walk 10 to 15 miles per shift. They have higher injury rates than the industry average.
These were jobs that were paying $150 a year.
I think we've been stopped.
She went against it. They went to a different place. 25,000 jobs they lost in New York.
And what would those jobs look like?
$150K a year minimum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That it? Oh, debate for 10 minutes on a claim of their choice. Oh, great.
I'm going to go with my friend here.
Why?
So I chose Mason because he was the only one that came up to me and said, Pat, I'd like to have a reasonable conversation with you. You came up. There was 3 other people I was thinking about. And because you were fair and respectful, I chose you.
So my claim is America has never been a meritocracy.
Okay. Tell me why.
So I think that when you see wealth disparity and the amount that it gives influences to certain individuals, specifically from a starting point, if we're looking at America like a race and someone is starting 2 inches from the finish line and somebody is starting a mile back, we would not say that this is a judgment of their merit. We'd say that this is a system that allows those with the most influence to continue to be successful.
So is it about some of the people that got generational wealth have an advantage over others that didn't get it?
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that that's a moral failure. I'm just saying when people claim that capitalism is a meritocracy, that's just factually inaccurate. And we shouldn't be allowed to lie here. Like, we should try to be coming to a common...
There is no universe in which Patrick Bet-David believes in meritocracy. If Patrick Bet-David believed in meritocracy, Nick Fuentes would be on his show. Patrick Bet-David doesn't want Nick Fuentes on his show because Patrick Bet-David is cucked to Israel, as we all clearly saw in his recent interview with Bibi Netanyahu, where Patrick Bet-David literally looked like he was being held hostage by Israel. So Bibi Netanyahu gets to genocide an entire group of people, and he gets invited on Patrick Bet-David's show, but Nick Fuentes says a word Patrick Bet-David doesn't like, and therefore he can never interview him. Patrick Bet-David doesn't believe in meritocracy. He believes in whatever is going to pay his bills. And in this case, he's obviously cucked to Israel, just like everyone else.
So capitalism is not a meritocracy.
No.
So you mean to tell me nobody here can go out there and win if they wanted to at the highest level?
No, I think that there's a probability that people can have social mobility or increase their economic conditions. It does not mean that everybody is able to. Some people could be a billionaire in the circle. Not everybody could be.
If you're saying not everybody's able to, I fully agree. I can play baseball, but I'm probably not going to play in Major League Baseball.
I can spend the money on a lottery ticket. Doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to win the lottery.
I agree. So what's your point? I agree with you there.
So my point is that America is not a meritocracy. You said
there's 2 things. Anybody at what levels, you can have success. To me in life, there's 3 different types of people. You got overachievers, you got achievers, you got underachievers. Let me unpack this for a second. We got 10 minutes.
You can.
Overachiever, achiever, underachiever. Okay? You can find a guy in school. We all remember the kid in school that was going to go like, that kid's going to win in life. And he didn't. He was supposed to be an overachiever. He ended up being an underachiever. And there were kids in school that we looked at. We said, that guy's not going to do anything with life. Dude, stay away from that guy. he ends up winning. He's an overachiever. So it's not about what you're, end up doing in your life. It's how close you reach to your capacity.
The winning that
That's
you're
on the
talking about,
individual's
quote
choice.
unquote, is wealth accumulation.
Not necessarily
And
wealth accumulation.
It is.
To
That's
me,
exactly what you just said.
If you end up, I have friends that make $120,000 a year. They have a good life. They're happily married, got 2 kids, and they chose to go live in a place like Victorville. They chose to go live in a different place. But to me, that is winning. They're contributing to
I
society.
have a genuine question for you, Patrick.
Please.
Do you think that a nurse or a hedge fund manager offers more social utility?
This is documented. 14 years ago, I made a video talking about the 10 most honorable professions, and a hedge fund manager wasn't on that list, but a nurse was.
Wow.
I believe what nurses do, when my father's at the hospital and I see how they attend to him, you have no idea how much respect I have for nurses.
Right.
It's a tough job.
However, but I would say the hierarchy of what our society looks like does not prioritize that in the same way that you're saying
But
that it
there's a
does.
difference. So there's a difference. Do I think a nurse is more important to the market than a basketball player? Yes. But the market wants to watch a basketball player play, so they pay Steph Curry $60 million
we both
a year.
agree that America's failing, right? Your last claim was about how America's socialist, and that's a bad thing. I
Yes,
assume that you're
I
saying
do.
because of government intervention. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So you think capitalism can exist without government intervention?
I think you need law and order because there will be abuse if you don't have it. In our insurance company, when I was run the company, I had to make sure there was law and order in there. If you don't have certain compliance, abuse will come in. When abuse comes in, if it's a
Right.
free-for-all.
Are part of those laws like labor laws?
That can also be abused. No, it's a fair question
Okay.
you're asking, but a part of that can also be abused. A lot of those guys go in with the right intentions. Then they become dividers and they pin the employer against the employee. So then that is the divide and conquer model is very effective.
I just want to break this down. Do you think that there are not mutually exclusive interests in owners and workers?
Do I think there's mutual interest with owners and workers?
Do you think that they
Owners
have a symbiotic relationship, and when they're trying to achieve
All right, I gotta pee. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this play. Let me know if I miss anything.
the same goal?
I like to give my employees equity because if you own equity in the company, you no longer are an employee. You treat it as if it's your own company. So I prefer to give my employees equity, but it's my choice. I don't want the government forcing me to give them equity. I'll give you a story. Do you remember that story of a guy who said, I pay every single one of my employees $70,000 a year? What was this guy's name? I don't know if you remember this guy. This story went viral. Socialism, what a noble guy. Everybody retweeted it, the Bernies of the world. Phenomenal guy. I invited him on the podcast. He comes on the podcast. I said, so tell me about your noble cause that you pay everybody 70 grand a year. He says, well, I don't think anybody should make over 70 grand a year. You can live off of $70,000 a year. I said, perfect.
Right.
How many employees
Okay.
do you have? Let me make the point.
I
said,
hear
how
what
many
you're saying,
employees
but
do you
I
have?
don't think that this
Wait
is
a minute.
conducive to our
I
conversation.
said, how many employees do you have? He says 100. I said, how many of those 100 own a single share of your company? None of them do. Who does? I do. You're a socialist claiming everybody should make that much money, but you're not giving equity?
I'm not endorsing this particular person. I'd love to look into this, and maybe I'll
what I'm
watch
trying to
the
tell you
interview
is
later.
There's
But
a
what
lot
I'm
of
trying to say,
contradictions
what I'm trying
in
to say,
socialism
yes.
when it
no,
comes
we
down
were
to
so
action.
close. There
Yeah.
are contradictions in the way that workers are trying to get as much wages as possible. That's just guaranteed. I want to get the maximum amount for the labor that I put into it. A owner wants to do the exact opposite. It's not that they want to pay people what they're deserved. They want to pay people what they can get away with. That's just virtually true. Yes, because what you say.
I don't think that's
yes,
the case. I
because
don't
you
think that's
say-
the case.
No, you already agree
I
that
don't think that's
coercion
the
exists
case.
in the system.
It
You're
does,
just
but
saying
I
that
don't think-
socialism. You're saying that socialism is the government mandating owners to do it, but. You're saying that markets do the exact same thing. You just said that the market price determines.
Don't put
what
words in my mouth. I like you. You're respectful. You're a nice guy. Don't put words in my mouth.
Did you not say that markets determine market rates?
I haven't. What I'm telling you is there will be abuse in business, and if there is a person
I'm
like
going to
that,
ask you the same question as soon as you're done. But continue.
there is abuse in business. Some people will take advantage of that. But the benefit of a free market capitalism is if I don't treat you fairly, you go work for him. If he doesn't treat you fairly, you go work for him. Eventually, if you bring enough value, guess who can't afford to lose you? I can't afford to lose you.
Do you
if I
think
can't afford
that
to lose
markets
you,
determine market
if
rates?
I can't afford to lose you, guess what I have to do to you?
Do you think that markets determine market rates?
You didn't answer my question. If I can't afford to lose you, guess what I do to you?
Do you know what a monopsony is?
Tell me about it.
So do you know the difference between a monopoly and a
I know
monopsony?
monopoly. Tell me about monopoly.
Okay, so a monopoly is a single seller who has rare competition within the selling of the distribution. That creates like inflated prices and that can hurt consumers. But a monopsony is one single buyer. So this is an employer. There are things called company towns. You brought up the example of Walmart outpricing small businesses.
Sure.
I think that's a fantastic example.
On the minimum wage side.
Right,
Yeah.
of how there are large businesses that utilize their leverage and their influence and their capital in order to determine what those wages look like in a given particular place.
Sure.
So what I want to argue is minimum wages seem to stifle monosponies because they allow people to start at the same floor rate. You're saying that big businesses have an advantage when there's a minimum wage because they can pay more?
They do.
We are also
They do.
advocating for higher taxation rates and capital gains taxes on these businesses that are supposedly taking advantage of the system.
I think.
And wait.
This is so
You can
boring.
invest this
They aren't
in
even
tax
talking about the
breaks
things
for small
communists care
businesses,
about.
for people that have less employees. Maybe you say that less than 5 employees, they have certain tax incentives, so they're not taxed at the same rate as these large conglomerates. But that does not mean that a minimum wage is a bad idea, because like most people here said, you can't survive on less than $7 an hour in most places
You know
across
what's
the
the
country.
great thing about business and numbers and data is every idea is getting exposed. During COVID, all the policies that came out from the leftist side, they're all getting exposed today.
Name two.
Within time,
Yeah, they're all getting
everybody realizes
exposed.
what
Okay,
works and
Wait,
what
can you
doesn't
name
work.
those policies
When,
besides
when
saying that they
states who
failed?
chose
You've
kids
exposed
to stay
nothing,
home
bro. You
instead of
don't
going
even
to
When is that a
understand
socialist
that-
policy?
That is a control, because when a government is ran in a way that they're controlling.
That's not socialism, my friend.
Socialism is a form of control.
Is a workers' control of
Communism
their
is the
own.
ultimate control.
Like, there have been no less than 4 people that Patrick Bet-David has talked to in the course of this video who have tried to tell him that he does not have the correct definition of communism and socialism. They keep going up and they're like, this is the definition, bro. This is the definition. And Patrick Bet-David's like, no, my definition is the definition that's correct. I think we live in a communist society because I pay over 30% in taxes. And so they come up repeatedly. They're like, bro, you're not talking about the same thing as us. And he just steamrolls them and he doesn't fucking listen to a word they say. And he's not integrating the information at all. Patrick Bet-David would be a horrible person to work for, by the way. I don't care if Patrick Bet-David offered me $1 million fucking dollars. I would never work for Patrick Bet-David. He would be a horrible person to work for. He's demonstrating in the course of this video, he doesn't actually listen to people. He doesn't care about other people's perspectives. He doesn't care about their opinions. I have no problem believing that he got wealthy selling insurance, because that seems to be the type of smarmy activity that someone like him would get wealthy in. So, I don't know. I know I said that communist earlier had a bad attitude because he was like, maybe I want to look into it before I interview you with you, but I would never work for this guy.
No, socialism is workers' control of their own workplace.
Socialism is a form of control. Communism is the ultimate control.
You're using this rhetorical device as saying that capitalism equals freedom, socialism equals control.
I want to be
and I hear how
respectful
that,
to you, and I've given you a couple of questions that you haven't answered yet.
I'll answer any question.
I want to go back to the question
the
that I asked
rhetorical
you.
strategy that you're using might be beneficial for a large media platform. It's not based in reality.
If you bring value to me,
He's right. The
and you're
communist is
so
right.
effective to my company, if you get to a point that I don't give you a good salary and I don't give you equity, what's going to happen to you most likely?
I'm going to try to start a union with my workplace, so that way we can collectively bargain on how to raise the floor
That's
for
one
all
of the
us.
options.
See, that was actually a brilliant answer on the part of the communist, because the answer that Patrick Bet-David is desperate for the communists to give is, if I'm so valuable you can't afford to use me, then you have to pay me more money. That's the answer that Patrick Bet-David wants the communists to give. Instead, the communist says, if you're not paying me a fair wage, I'm going to unionize the entire workforce and we're all going to come for your ass. This is the difference in mentality of communist versus non-communist, where Patrick Bet-David keeps trying to wrap the communist in the non-communist point of view, and the communist is going, no, bro, I'm not an individualist. I don't believe in meritocracy. I'm a collectivist. If we go somewhere, we all go together. This is a fundamentally different mindset, and the communist is not going to change their mind just because Patrick Bet-David says, but I'm going to pay you more money, bro. See, Patrick Bet-David is driven by money. That's all he fucking cares about. He cares about money, wealth, status, clout. That's the only reason he has this fucking podcast, is so he gets to talk to famous people and be more famous and make more money and have more clout and all that stuff. Money and fame is very motivating for Patrick Bet-David. For most communists, that's not a motivating factor. They're not trying to get famous. They're not trying to be internet content creators. Most real communists spend much more time doing organizing and mutual aid and nonprofit work and all that stuff. They're trying to raise things up as a collective. Patrick Bet-David doesn't understand that. He thinks if he just waves thousands of dollars in front of someone's face, they're going to come and do whatever he wants, probably because there are enough people in the world that will just go and do what Patrick Bet-David wants them to do because he's paying them money. But those people aren't communists.
But guess typically what ends up happening?
What happens? They're
you
busted?
leave and you go to a different company and they
Are
give
you saying the
equity.
owners bust the union? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's
it's not
not what
successful?
I'm saying. I'm not talking union. You're talking about a different
What do you
candidate,
think about
different
unions?
person. I think in some places they work. I told you earlier, in many cases they're divisive.
We agree. You also mentioned Wealth of Nations. You like Adam Smith?
I think a lot of his ideas, yes.
Do you disagree, or do you also agree that landlords are parasites?
I don't agree landlords are parasites.
Adam Smith,
No,
even
I
Wealth of
don't- I
Nations
don't-
author
I
said
don't-
that.
I don't. I
He
know
said
you're-
that rent
You're cherry picking. I don't think landlords are parasites. I think in many
Oh, gotcha.
cases, when you think about what's happening with New York right now, this is why I'm telling you guys. I hope all of us reunite in 4 years and we have a conversation. And I hope Mamdani wins. I am hoping Mamdani wins because that case study is going to get opened up and all of you guys are going to see
Can
it.
we both agree that corporate Democrats are a stain on this country?
Corporate Democrats
like
are-
Democrats that utilize their leverage and utilize their influence to maximize their own private wealth is a bad
The communist is saying to Patrick Bet-David that he thinks Democrats are a stain on this country. Imagine my shock.
thing that we should discourage.
I think if it's their choice. I don't think you and I get to tell
Okay,
them what to do
interesting.
and what not to do.
So you think that like insider trading should be allowed?
I'm not for insider trading
But
whatsoever.
you just said it's their
No.
choice.
No, if you're being
can use their
specific-
influence.
If you're specific with insider trading, that's a different conversation.
I just think that all of these are examples of why capitalism is not a meritocracy, especially when you're saying that politicians who utilize their influence to maximize their own
you
wealth,
could be
when you're
right
talking about landlords
if-
who are profiting off of necessity for people, or you're talking about business owners who stifle unions for people that just want to collectively
You
organize.
could be right if the data was shown. I'll shake your hand absolutely. I'm not trying to disrespect you. No.
Thank you.
You've been very
Appreciate it.
respectful. No. But for me to tell you this, everything here can be proven based on data.
Correct.
If your policies are so attractive, I'm going to come to you.
Empirical
If your
data shows
policies
that
are
worker
not
cooperatives
attractive,
are
they
not
will
only
leave
more
you.
sustainable to market collapses, but they also provide more of an actual attachment to the work that those workers have. The alienation of labor is absolutely making people hate their jobs. Why do you think most people watching probably don't like the workplace that they're in, but still agree that there's some problem in America, whether they're saying it's immigrants or whether they're saying it's billionaires? What the problem is in America is people don't feel an actual attachment to what they're
What do
producing
you
in the
think
world.
about Social Security? What do you think about what FDR did?
Wait,
Actually,
do
what's
you have
your-
nothing to say about those
No,
worker
because your
cooperatives?
point's been made. Go back to Social Security. This has been done with, right?
Okay.
If we have a couple minutes, what do you think about Social Security and how FDR came up with it?
Yeah, I think FDR, from most historians, are placed in the top 3 of all presidents, and that's from conservatives and Democrats. I think that FDR got a lot of things great. I really like his second bill of economic rights. I think it's very vital that we provide people with housing, we decommodify things that are necessities. Do you know the difference between elastic and inelastic goods?
Stay on Social Security.
Oh,
What
so
do
you
think
don't know
about-
the difference?
What do you think about Social Security? Stay on that.
Okay. Well, Social Security, I think, was initially had as a social safety net to add a supplemental income to people's pensions. So most people going into like the 1950s all the way up to the 1980s were given pensions by corporations as a promise to, if you work for my firm, I'll make sure that I supplement the exact same salary that you're getting throughout the rest of your life. Now, what Ronald Reagan did was he changed the pensions to contribution-based retirement, which means I have to put this in the 401k, I have to put it in the stock market, and if the stock market collapses,
Do you think Social Security ended up being
I
a
don't have
system
anything.
that worked?
I think that Social Security
it's
is
proven?
definitely needed as a supplemental income. And right now, since we have contribution-based retirements, it's absolutely needed because if you don't want old people eating cat food, we
Sure.
probably need some sort of sustainable
so
income for them.
when he came up with Social Security, do you think his intention was to have 74 million people use it today? Do you think that's what he thought was going to happen?
Yeah, and I think it's because you're not gutting the program in its entirety.
So
you can say
when
that
he came
Social
up-
Security is a failure if you take the wheels off of
When-
a car.
so
The car's
when-
not going to run.
when
But if you
Social
continue
Security-
to buff it up and you make sure that you have good
Sure,
guardrails,
but
it can be a successful
The
program.
challenge is a lot of time when you come up with a noble idea to try to fix something today, ends up getting bigger and you never expected it. When Social Security first came out in 1935, the first benefits were paid in 37, and it was paid in a lump sum. At that time, we had 128 million people living in America. Do you know how many people got Social Security?
Tell me.
54,000. Do you know when benefits started?
Tell me.
65 years old. So let me say this again to you. Life expectancy was 61. Social Security benefits started at 65.
Right. So you're saying because we've increased life, people need to work longer, right?
0.04%.
So grandma should be working at the
Let me make
the
my
mill
point,
right
and
now.
then you can say.
Bro. I think we might have a false dichotomy between socialism and capitalism and communism. New here, thanks for having me. Yeah, well, I mean, the issue is that Patrick Bet-David does not understand the left's definition of capitalism. He does not understand the left's definition of communism. He does not understand the left's definition of socialism. There's so much that Patrick Bet-David thinks he knows about the left, but he doesn't understand. And that's just reality. So Patrick Bet-David is having a completely different conversation with them than they're having with him, all because they have not been extremely clear about their definitions. And Patrick Bet-David keeps trying to say, we live in a communist country because I pay over 30% in taxes, which has nothing to do with how the left is defining communism or capitalism.
Anything you want to say?
Thanks for the
Well, I'm
super
just saying,
chat.
you said as
Point.
life
Let me tell
expectancy
you where we are
increases, people
today.
should be working
Let
longer.
me tell you
want
today,
to extend the retirement age,
no,
correct?
If you bring that to today and you bring the math, exact same formula as the great FDR came up
See,
with.
Patrick, here's the difference between our worldviews. You're saying that because Social
Today,
Security,
there's 340
right
million
now,
people. Let me say the point,
Go ahead.
and then I'll let you speak as long as you want to speak.
Great.
So that went from, math again for you, 54,000 out of 128 million people, 0.04%. Life expectancy 61, benefits start 65. Today, it's 74 million out of 340 million. That's 21%. When life expectancy is 78, benefits start at 65. Do you know who's going to pay the price on Social Security? Not my generation.
Yeah, if
yours
we keep
is.
doing cuts, correct. If we keep doing cuts,
No, because
and
you're gonna
Social
run out of
Security
money.
tax payments,
You're gonna run out of money.
No, that's not how it works. So the difference between our worldview, Patrick, is you're saying not only should people work longer into life because life expectancy has increased, but that they should work longer into life without guarantees for health care, without preventative care, and that's not only going to increase to the deterioration of people's living conditions, it's also going to lead to a worse economy. Because let me tell you, 70-year-olds not going to be the most productive members of our economy. They should be spending time with their families. They should be easing into their passing away. We shouldn't be forcing grandma to go to the mill.
It's going to be on your back. You'll be paying for this in 30 years.
Appreciate you.
All right, is that it?
Yeah, I think that Patrick is...
All right. So just like I said at the beginning, Patrick Bet-David does not understand the left, and every moment of this interview actually proved that. Patrick Bet-David changed no one's mind in the course of this debate. He actually just made himself look dumb to people who understand people on the left. And, you know, it's a shame, too, because, like, I do actually think that Patrick Bet-David has, like, good intentions. He was trying to help them out, but he doesn't understand that they have a fundamentally different value system. This is the thing that so many people on the right don't understand about people on the left, is the left has a fundamentally different value system than you do. They do not see the world in the same way you do. They do not process information in the same way you do. And I've said it a million times. One of the reasons I unironically call my show The Cult is because I do believe the left has been indoctrinated into a cult from the time that they're little kids in school. But because they've had so much of this forced on them their entire life, just dripped in every single subject they took, all over their media, all over their friend groups, all over their social circles, like whatever, they have a fundamentally different way they see the world. And if you do not understand how they see the world, you don't understand them. And if you don't understand them, you have no idea what is going to be required to defeat them. So if you would like an introduction to the left, if you're new to my content and you're like, well, Karlyn, okay, fine, break it down, explain it to me. Okay, I can do that. What I need you to do is head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. And I need you to go to the How to Speak Socialist section. At the very top of the How to Speak Socialist section, you will find not one but two classes. The first class is the re-education class. This is about a 90-minute class where I walk you through the basics of what the far left believes. And you don't have to take my word for it. For every single thing I say, I show you video from real leftist trainings, real leftist events, real interviews, real book launches, etc., so that you can hear directly from the left what they believe, and they explain their thought process. And then what we do is just break down the language to make sure you understand it. So you never have to take my word for anything. If I say the left believes something, it's not that I'm making it up. It's that I know what they believe because I've watched over 5,000 hours their trainings and stuff like that. So that is the re-education class. Now, if you're ready for a little bit more than 90 minutes, you can do the How to Speak Socialist class, which is literally a 4-hour crash course that goes much more in depth into what the left believes and like a basic overview. So if you want more information, if you want to be able to understand the left, then you have to learn how to speak their language. You have to break down what the language actually means, what these ideas are. These are both free courses. They are on demand. They are available for anyone who wants the information over on my Substack in the How to Speak Socialist section. And if you appreciate the work I'm doing, breaking down the left, exposing their ideology, going into all their trainings, clipping stuff, showing you guys what's going on, please sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. You guys fund my work. I'm 100% independently funded. I don't have any big money backers. I just have people who donate because they appreciate the work I'm doing. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for it. And by the way, we're doing movie night in my supporter Discord tonight. Mac B hosts movie nights on Monday nights. And he tonight is showing Diamonds Are Forever. Movie night is going to be getting started in about 20 minutes in the supporter Discord. If you would like to join the supporter Discord, head over to the Substack. And what you need to do is click on chat. And you need to go into the live chat for the channel. And when you are in there, and you are subscribed and all that stuff, and you are a supporter of my work, you will find a link to the supporter Discord in the chat section of the Decode the Left Substack. So I'm not subscribed. I'm in under a second account here, so don't, like, I'm not signed in under anything, so that's why I don't see the chat. But you can find the link in the Discord, and many of you are already in the supporter Discord, so I will be sending out a notification. And go join MacB for movie night. And he's showing Diamonds Are Forever. Happy 1-year anniversary of Monday movie nights in the Discord to MacB. They do trivia relating to the movie. They do music relating to the movie. It's a good time. So I highly recommend everyone go and join, and it'll be great. And as for me, I am done streaming for the day. So that is it. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone had a great Labor Day. Please do mount the like button on the way out the door. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already. I appreciate you guys. I will be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you? That's difficult to answer. I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.